good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30. It is July 14th, and it's time to start the regular City Council meeting. If you can all please stand with me as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Gibson Helton here to do it with us.
Will you please join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you, Gibson. Are you sure I got the picture? Okay, awesome. Well, you got it right there in a different spot. So thank you. We appreciate you. You said that with a lot of authority and pride, so thank you. All right, Chaplain Dale Burke was supposed to be here for the invocation, but he is not here, so we will have Councilman Lowe do the invocation for us, please.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. We ask your wisdom as we consider the decisions we make tonight. Help us listen with open minds and speak with kindness. Guide this council to seek what is right, fair, beneficial to all of our residents of these cities. Give us the courage to put our needs above the personal interests and humility to work with those that we disagree with. We pray with our first responders, city staff, volunteers, local businesses, and every family who calls Bastrop home. May everything we do tonight bring glory and honor to your name. In your son Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Councilman Lowe. All right, got a good-sized house in here tonight. Welcome, welcome. All right, we'll go through our reports. We'll do the mayor's report. It's been a few weeks since we've had a council meeting, and so in that time, I've been pretty busy, but I won't hit you with everything. But yeah, it's almost something on the daily, which I love. It's good. But just want to give congratulations to those students, adult students who graduated from the Community Action Incorporation of Central Texas Adult Education Graduation Program. It's a GED program for adults, and they also had ESL students in there as well. It was pretty nice to hear their stories, how they were able to overcome the hurdles. And some, it took them 15 years, 20 years from teenage years to finally get their GED, but it was a lifelong accomplishment for some. There was even one mother who came up to me in tears because she was able to resonate with my story about being an underdog and overcoming and going the distance, and her son went through a lot to get there. So it was pretty nice to see that, and it's good to see people don't give up. Also, let's see, we had the Bastrop County Emergency Food Drive that has gone on for a little while. I was able to attend it that same day. I think we have someone here to speak on their behalf, and so I won't spoil all of it, but last I had saw it together, the community raised almost 3,000 pounds of food for the county of Bastrop, for the pantry. So that was fantastic, and it was great to be a part of that. I want to give a little shout out. Y'all know I'm all about the kids. I want to give a shout out to our youth baseball team, the 8U team for BYSO. Can't remember the full acronym. But anyway, they're traveling this year. They made the Little League World Series. And so if the community can get behind them and support those young guys, they got a real good team, real good camaraderie. They played together for a while. I know they're just 8, but they stand a real good chance to go pretty far. Then we also had the 12U softball team. They finished 4th in the Little League World Series. They didn't get to progress, but it's a lot of young ladies on that team that did a fantastic job. So I got to spend some time with those kids and wish them well and really just see what they had going on. Then the week of 4th of July was a super busy week. I'm sure we all have something that we did that week. I know Councilman Lowe and Councilmember Meyer, they joined me to celebrate Michael Thomas. He turned 98, and the man looks young. He looks like he's like 65. But he's a World War II veteran, Korean War veteran. We went to the Senior Center to celebrate his birthday with him. It was a real good event, great group of folks. I got to get over there and get to dancing with them on a Tuesday night. So maybe when we don't have a council meeting, I'll be able to get over there with them. And then, as you know, we all celebrated the 4th of July here in Bastrop with Fame on the Friday, and the Big Bang celebration at the park. So it was just a fantastic, fun time in the community for me, being out amongst everyone, enjoying the people, the vibes, the camaraderie, and watching our community grow. So I won't take up any more time, and I'll pass it on to Councilmember Fossler.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll do a look-ahead report, an announcement of what's coming up. For this Thursday, for Hunters Crossing residents, if you live in Hunters Crossing or have a business in Hunters Crossing, come to the Convention Center on this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. It's a joint meeting between the Hunters Crossing Public Improvement District, the Local Government Corporation, and the Hunters Crossing Homeowners Association Board. It's regarding the maintenance and possible transfer of ownership of some of the common areas, one of those being the parcel that the pool is on. So I expect to see some live wheeling and dealing in the moment at the Convention Center. So if you have any interests, this is really going to be a special night because all the interested parties are finally ready to resolve all these lingering details. So I expect an action-packed meeting on Thursday at the Convention Center. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there will be a memorial and exhibit at the Bridges Emporium for a beautiful Bastrop County artist that we lost in a tragic car accident a few days ago. Yvonne Winter is her name, and all proceeds from the exhibit will go to her family, her very shocked family. She was a bright light and an incredible artist and is very missed. So Yvonne Winter is her name. Coming up this weekend, also Friday, is the Corvette invasion. It starts Friday night, and the light show starts at 9 p.m. From 9 to 9:30. It's called Lights, Camera, Corvettes at the Convention Center parking lot, and then the car show starts the next day at 9 a.m. with the awards at 1 p.m. Saturday night is the CASA fundraiser. It's a sock hop, and it's at the Smithville Recreation Center on Saturday night. There are tickets available still. Also Saturday night, it's the Film Alley's last stand-up comedy. It's at 8 p.m. Scott Hardy is headlining. He's hilarious. He's very funny. It will sell out soon. There are a few tickets left, and they are on the Film Alley website. And then next Wednesday, have y'all heard about data centers? There's a data center town hall being hosted at the Hampton Inn next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. It's hosted by the Bastrop County GOP, the Bastrop County Democratic Party, the Forward Party, and the League of Independent Voters. So all those parties are hosting this town hall. And we, also Texas Agricultural Commission, Sid Miller will be speaking at the beginning. So space is limited. It's a big room, but please, if you're interested, please come on the early side, because if you want to be in the room, then you don't want to miss it. And then next Thursday is the Volunteer and Resource Fair at the Bastrop Convention Center for all of our boards and commissions and also our community resources. So that's at the Convention Center next Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Last one, y'all. Sorry. Next Saturday, which is July 25th from 3 to 7 in downtown Bastrop, is our Christmas in July. It's a lemonade crawl, and it's free, but please register on the Discover Bastrop website. Thanks, y'all. I know it's a lot, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on, even in this heat. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Fossler. Councilmember Plunkett, let me guess.
Actually, I think I did hear something that she didn't include, but
Whoa, there was a list, so.
but I could have missed it.
I thought she had everyone covered.
So Main Street, the 2 blocks of Main Street, I believe, will be closed on Saturday night after the Corvette invasion. That's the bad news if you want to call it. The good news is all the winners from the Corvette Invasion will be parked out in front of the businesses there. So that'll be a cool way to see the cream of the crop. So does anybody know the times on that? I was looking it up, but I didn't see it.
6:30 to 9.
Thank you, Michaela. 6:30 to 9 is when Main Street will be closed.
How'd you make your voice sound like a microphone? Okay, there you go. All right, thank you, Councilmember Plunkett. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
So, Michaela, I got another question for you. Who was responsible for the alternate layout at the Farm Street Opry?
That was Carly Davenport.
Carly Davenport. Well, Carly Davenport, wherever you are, thank you. That was fabulous. The first Thursday of the month, I was the Master of Ceremonies at the Farm Street Opry, one of my favorite activities I get to do here on council. And the entire room layout was different. They had moved the dance floor up close to the band, and it made the entire activity much more interactive. Up on the stage, I loved seeing it all, and then the audience as well got to kind of interact with the dancing as it took place, instead of the dancing being in the far back of the room in almost a unlit corner. So I think that just added a tremendous amount of life and audience participation, and then the two music guests were just absolutely fabulous. So great job to the team on that one. And then, yes, Corvette Invasion, Friday night, the lights thing that Councilperson Foster mentioned, 9 a.m. on Saturday at the Convention Center. All day long we'll have Corvettes. It's like 370 Corvettes. It'll be the biggest show of Corvette Invasion we've had here in Bastrop, and it is the largest Corvette show in the state of Texas. And I have a classic 1963 Corvette, and I will be there in it's called the C2 class. It's the second body style of Corvettes, and so you can stop by and say hi to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland. Just real quick before I get to you, Councilmember Meyer, you just made me think of something when you brought up staff. I just want to give a huge shout out to Warren Turner. He works with the Water and Wastewater Department here in Bastrop. KXN was here doing a report on the on the hospital, and he saw that they were broken down, and he decided to do a good deed and pull over and give them a jump so that they could be on their merry way. It allowed them to be able to break the story. And so I just want to say, Warren Turner, thank you for being a good steward of the community and being a helpful person and showing what Bastrop's all about. All right, Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Among the 4th of July activities that I attended, one was so special. It was the Spirit of the Declaration of Independence concert at the Performing Arts Center, performed by the Bastrop County Historical Commission, and it was just amazing. The music and the program were so heartwarming and really got you in the spirit for our 250th birthday, so that was amazing. Also, following that was our Fame Days, and it was the night before the Big Bang was the theme. It was on Spring Street, and I just want to give a huge shout out to Discover Bastrop for the Fame Days, Friday Art Music Entertainment, FAME, that's what that stands for. And there was such a fun cakewalk, and there was a hot dog eating competition, and just a lot of fun things. To get you in the mood for the next morning, which is one of my favorite events of the whole year, it was the Pet and Pals Parade, where all the animals of every kind that you can imagine, chickens, rabbits, dogs, you name it, were all decorated for the 4th, and their owners all decorated. So that is one of my most favorite times in this whole city, is the Pet and Pals Parade. So it was amazing. And after that, there were so many great things going around town that everybody else has hit on. I just want you to be aware of something happening this coming Saturday. Downtown at our museum on Main Street is Music in the Museum from 12 to 1. And they have amazing musicians there, bluegrass, every kind of music that you could want to hear. And it's all relaxed and it's so fun. So please try to make the museum this weekend. And I'm going to throw a little teaser out, because almost my favorite thing of this whole year and the whole town is coming up the end of July and the 1st of August. It's called the Bastrop Homecoming Rodeo. So more on that at the next council meeting.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Meyer. Councilmember Lowe.
Yeah. I wrote a song called "What's Left for Us." And it looked like I'm singing that refrain. I just want to talk about the Spring Fest. We went down to Spring Fest, and that was a good time. I got to take my dog Lucky, and he was getting acclimated. He did all right, but it was a great event. It was well attended, and it was really a good time. So I want to thank them for that. Also, too, lastly, our community thrives because of the people who help step up and shape its future. If you want to make a direct impact on policies, growth, and vibrant culture of Bastrop, I strongly encourage you to look at joining a board or commission that's coming up. Whether your passion is parks planning or historic preservation, there's a place for you at the table. So check out the current openings on the website and see how you can get involved today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lowe. Yeah, Spring Fest was fun. I knew the secret identity of Spider-Man too. So. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Now we're on to our city manager's report. No.
If you guys are tired of talking about it, imagine how tired we are of doing it. Right, y'all? All right, so I want to start off with acknowledging the 4th of July issue. We had some medical, 2 folks had medical issues down in the park that required medical attention. And then we had communication issues. And so, yes, there was a delay in the fireworks. Yes, there was a delay in the fireworks. Folks left the park believing that we were done, and we were not done. Obviously, it's important to get folks to safety and get them the medical attention they need. And so for those of you that are upset, I'm sorry we saved 2 lives. For those of you who understand, we promise to be better next year. And we'll make it up. We have a surprise coming for homecoming, but I won't let that out of the bag. And I do want to acknowledge our misstep, staff's misstep, my misstep in not creating a bigger 250th anniversary acknowledgement of this country's birthday. We should have done better. We will be better, and we have addressed the issues, and hopefully we don't ever have this type of misstep again to miss such an important issue. City Council retreat coming up July 30th and 31st in Fredericksburg. We're going to meet with their city officials, and we will be meeting in a city facility. It's a day-and-a-half event. You'll be back in time for the rodeo, I promise. I also want to address over the first part of June and leading into the 4th of July events. There was a lot of chatter on social media about what we allow and what political organizations do and don't. And number one, I'm happy to see that our 3 parties, our independents and our Democrats and Republicans, could come together finally on something they all dislike, and that would have been the City of Bastrop. So yay. Let's acknowledge that it's possible to come together when you have a joint dislike for a other government agency. But in their defense, the city staff was enforcing what we believed was an adopted policy. And as we dug deep, right, it's not an adopted policy. It is going to come to the council. And I remind everybody that free access for everybody, that means the Wicca people get to sit right next to the Catholics. So we will work through that. To ensure that everybody has equal access and that it remains enjoyable to everybody who wants to participate, that they don't have to be, sidelined as they're trying to travel through the event. We are discussing, we have some folks from our HLC group here, we are discussing a historic overlay on how we further begin to protect historic Bastrop. We've made great strides. There is a lot of work to do. The outside world continues to think Bastrop is really cool, but in thinking that we're really cool, they want to change us. And so, we as a city are going to make a determination, are we historic Bastrop or are we not? And so you have an item before you later on. These folks, I don't believe, are going to wait to the end of the agenda, so we may either move it up, Mayor, or let them speak as citizen comments. You all missed a sit with Sil that happens tomorrow at 6:30 at the Roadhouse, and interestingly, you missed it, but you all show up, so there you go. And that's also a chance to just sit with me and let me have it, or describe what we need, et cetera. And it is never a shortage of conversation. I'll just say that. We do have Get Involved Bastrop, which as Councilmember Lowe alluded to, we are looking for folks on our boards and commissions. We have a lot of folks who are beyond their term, and we've allowed them to stay on because we don't have another person to fill the spot. So I'm hopeful that we have a slew of applications and we get going. And I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, who has a presentation or a discussion with Jack of Hearts.
All right, thank you, Sylvia. All right, so just want to do a small, brief introduction, and then we'll have them.
Come back to me after you're done.
Okay.
With them, yeah.
All right. It's two guys I met a little while ago. They started up an organization, Jack of Hearts, and they basically raise scholarship funds for students to help them further their careers in the workforce or education. To hear their story of how they got started is pretty cool. And, you know, from what I've gathered, from what I learned, being around these guys really care about the community and the younger generation. And so Jack, he wanted to speak on Jack of Hearts. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Sylvia, did you want to say something before he comes to speak?
No, let him finish,
Okay.
and then we'll come back.
Okay, all right. So Jack, yeah, I'll let you do all the introduction. Justin?
Face you, face them,
Yeah, you can face us.
face you.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
mind looking at
and
you.
so if y'all can do us a favor, so the people on the radio, TV, video land will know who you are. If you can just introduce yourselves and tell us who you're with, and then go for it.
So, council and mayor, we appreciate the time to come in and speak with y'all. More of the informative, not a complainant. We do like to, I'm Jack Prentice with Jack of Hearts.
Justin Love with Jack of Hearts.
Can y'all hit the microphone for me, please? Just
Oh, sure.
because like we will hear it, we don't hear who we can't
Sure,
hear on.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, Justin Love with Jack of Hearts.
I'm Clayton Tischler, just a supporter and local resident.
So just a little backstory, a little history with Jack of Hearts. We're 5.5 years old. Justin and I had a vision and a goal and decided that we would start an organization that would be nonprofit to support and give away scholarships to young men and women leaving Bastrop County High School and would pursue trades. We're 5 years old, this year being our 6th year. We've been blessed through the community and a lot of local businesses to be grateful that we've been able to give away almost 100 scholarships in 5 years in our county. I believe for a program that's 5 years old, we're halfway through our 6th year, and to be able and blessed to give away 100 scholarships, basically we're about just 2 away from that. In 5 years is a small feat when you look around at our programs that are here in Bastrop County and the other things in other organizations and what they do. In this 5 years, though, we've learned a lot, I can tell you that. Doing business in Bastrop has been amazing. At different times, it has not been easy. It's amazing to do business, but it's not always been easy because of financial reasons. The biggest part of Jack of Hearts is supported through local businesses and opportunities that Justin and I have created over these years to do fundraisers. And in doing that, you know, it puts a small tax on a large problem in a small community. We are just one group, and then you add the Little League, you add the high school, you add other organizations that, it's probably not the right word, but we tax our community. with everyone else to help support our program. And when you start doing that, it doesn't take long, and all of your smaller businesses in Bastrop, that money goes pretty quick. Their budgets are spread pretty thin. And in that process of doing business here in Bastrop, we use the Bastrop Convention Center. We have since this year moved up on the hill there to Mayfest Park, and we have future goal to use and utilize the rodeo arena. Our 2 events a year is our banquet coming up July 25th, the weekend after the invasion of the Corvettes. So we want to get on that list. We want to be mentioned on that one too. We have, for 5 years from day one, used the Bastrop Convention Center. It's a great place. We've been blessed to put 500 to 800 people there every year in July the 25th. And that's the same night that we give away our scholarships. That's just one event. Then we have another one in October that is Rednecks and Rockers. It's a barbecue cook-off, Battle of the Bands. Now that we've moved up here on the hill in Mayfest Park, we have intentions of growing. And with growing, we know that that's going to cost more money in the future. That cook-off is typically 2 days, and our goal by 2028 is to make it a 3-day music festival with a barbecue cook-off. That's our second event. We do not give away scholarships. That is just to help to support the scholarships that we give away in July. Then at Thanksgiving, we've been blessed to help an organization that is no longer going to be there. Justin and I, Jack of Hearts, our crew, we're taking over that event. This year we were blessed to feed 350 families at Thanksgiving. Not only that, but we were blessed to have the mayor there. You know, out of his day, he'd come and spend some time with us and fix plates and run them out to cars and things like that. So it's nice to see the community giving back to us and to be a part of what we're doing and to be recognized at those times, not for who we are, but for what we're doing. Because we're going to do that with the city council or without. We're going to do that with the community helping us or not. We're going to be there to help do what we like to do and what feels great for us, and to help others that need it at a great time. I'm not complaining, but I will say that to do these events and for us to grow as a nonprofit, and we are a true nonprofit. We do not show up every day for Jack of Hearts. Justin and I have full-time jobs. Jack of Hearts is a second full-time job that does not pay a nickel to us. So when we're out there getting after it and hitting up our community to help support us financially, it puts a strain on a lot of things. To use the Bastrop Convention Center in the last 5 years, it's went from $3,200 to $3,900 this year. I just opened the invoice 2 nights ago, and I laid that down and said, okay, it's time to talk about it a little bit. And in that process, we've learned we have security that would gladly donate their time. They're not city officials or city officers. This is the constable's department. I would like for it to be a consideration, and I'm not sure that this is even the correct place, but just as I said, we're not here complaining, we're just here to help show what we do in the places that we could use some help. Officers donate their time for our events. In our future of using city facilities, I understand that we're going to need more security for different events. And when you look at the tax dollars and the dollars that we are bringing to town, and then you look at the opportunities that we have to get some help back from a donation, well, that's not acceptable right this minute. So I'm hoping in the future that we, as a nonprofit and other nonprofits, because it's not just us in this town that is faced with this. A lot of us are, as a nonprofit, I know others that I have sat and visited with, they are facing the same issues that we are. We're a small community. We're growing tremendously. Our businesses support as much as they can. So when we can get a break, we need one. If a constable's department can help do our security and they donate their time, these are things that we would like to be considered in the future that would help us tremendously. Lastly, before I turn it over to Justin, I appreciate being in this town. Been here 9 years. And in 9 years, I've been doing this kind of work for 5 years to give back to Bastrop. It is a blessing to give back to our community. The people here are so acceptance. They accept what we're there for. We do our best to help anywhere we can, as we can. To give away 20 scholarships a year at our banquet and to see those families and to be a part of what they are and who they are and how we can interact with them and change young men and women, keep them here at home and help support them to put back into our community, that's a blessing. Little by little, we're growing. We have no intentions of going anywhere, but we don't want to be forced out of town because we can't afford to do business here as a nonprofit either. Now, in the future, as we grow and y'all are able to grow in opportunities, please consider as a nonprofit that we're doing our best. The key word to that is no profit, because every dollar we take in this town, we put back into this town through small businesses and families. Thank y'all for your time. I'm going to let Justin have a turn here to talk, and then Mr. Tischler is going to speak on our behalf, just from a little bit of knowledge of what he knows of Jack of Hearts and his experiences with us.
Thank you, Jack.
Ladies and gentlemen, council members, thank you. I moved here the summer of '88. I was 14. I've been here ever since. I haven't left. Some of you I know very well. Mr. Lowe, we go way back. This is my home. And what Jack and I have done the past 5.5 years is pretty groundbreaking for a lot of, in simplest terms. Jack and I have known each other since he moved here. We threw darts together in a dart league at the American Legion right up on the hill. Slowly but surely we began to develop a friendship, and through that we had talked about, well, what do you like to do? Or how would you like to give back to this community? Because we've talked about it for years. And I said, man, I'd really like to do this. At the same time, he's been doing it for 20-some years in East Texas. So we sort of threw some ideas together, and one night after darts, we're sitting there in the back hall, and he said, do you have any money? I said, no, sir, I don't have any on me. I said, do you? He said, no. I said, wait a minute. You got a quarter? Because I pulled out a quarter out of my pocket. And he said, actually, I do. So we threw him on the table, and at that very moment, 50 cents later, Jack of Hearts was born. And that's how we started. And we're not slowing down, and we don't want to slow down. We just want to keep doing the best that we know that we can, and we want to keep giving back to our community and to these young men and women that a lot of their teachers and their counselors, they may not look at them the same way that we do. They may see them as different. We see them as hardworking. You know, they may see them as a problem child. We might see them as a mechanic or a welder, truck driver, electrician, plumber. Everything that makes this country go around is because of these kids. And some of these kids are wrenching on cars or working with their uncles or their grandfathers who own a plumbing company or own a mechanic shop and they are a truck driver and they just want to do the same things. Some of these kids may not be the best academically, but their hearts are in the right place and they know what they want to do for a future. And that goes back to like what Jack and I have always talked about. We just want to leave this place, you know, we just want to leave this world a better place than the way that we found it. And that's what we're striving to do with these kids. So again, thank you all for your time. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tischler, and he's going to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Mayor, council members, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. My name is Clayton Tischler. I've lived in Riverside Grove here in Bastrop for the last 12 years, and I was honored when Jack and Justin asked me to come speak on their behalf. I am not a member of the organization. I am just a supporter that has been supporting it for several years, and I wanted to go over that experience with y'all. My very first interaction with Jack of Hearts was in 2023 when my son Billy received one of their scholarships, and I'll never forget that day. They didn't just award him the financial help, that also made him feel seen. They made him feel valued. They showed him that Bastrop believes in its young tradesmen and the future they represent. That scholarship gave him confidence and direction, and it showed me what kind of organization that Jack of Hearts is. But now the real one came in with my second experience with them. It was just as powerful. A local sheriff officer was injured in the line of duty, and the community came together to support him. Jack of Hearts did not hesitate. They stepped in with major support, time, resources, fundraising, whatever was needed. They didn't ask whether it fit their mission. They didn't ask what was in it for them. They simply saw a member of our community hurting and said, "We're here." So that moment told me everything I needed to know, that Jack of Hearts isn't just about tradesmen, they're about Bastrop. They're about people. They're about stepping up when someone needs help. Since then, I've seen them at fundraiser after fundraiser for families facing medical crisis, for people who have lost loved ones, for community members who simply need a hand. I've watched them donate their time, their labor, their money. I've seen them quietly show up without being asked and stay long after others have gone home. And then every Thanksgiving, they host meal for those in need. They make sure people who might not otherwise have a warm plate or a warm place to be to have food. That's not just charity, that's community. That's compassion, and that's the heart of Bastrop. Organizations like Jack of Hearts are the backbone of this city. They fill gaps that government alone cannot fill. They lift people up in ways that don't always make headlines and absolutely change lives. And they're not alone. Bastrop has many nonprofits that do incredible work every day. That is why I'm here today, not to talk about any specific issues, but to ask that we continue to support and, whenever possible, reduce the burdens placed on the nonprofits that give so much of themselves to this community. When we make it easier for the nonprofits to operate, they can give more back. When we reduce unnecessary costs, their impact grows. When we recognize and honor donated time, donated services, and donated resources, we strengthen the very organizations that strengthen Bastrop. Every dollar a nonprofit doesn't have to spend on administrative or procedural requirements is a dollar that goes directly back into helping the families, supporting youth, feeding the hungry, and lifting up people in crisis. It's a dollar that goes back into Bastrop. Jack of Hearts have shown up for this community again and again. My family is living proof of the difference they make. Many families in this city can say the same. I'm asking that we, as a city, continue to show up for them and for all the nonprofits who make Bastrop a better, kinder, stronger place to live. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your commitment to the people of Bastrop.
All right, thank you, Clayton. Council, do we have any questions or anything for these gentlemen? No. All right, Sylvia, you said you had something?
Not related to this.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, to the mayor and council related to this item, I just want to clarify a few things. One, they're a nonprofit, so they'd qualify for a 15% discount on the rate. And two, we use a system called badge hire for police and patrol at events. I think we've communicated that their sheriff's volunteer can go through that system and put a cost of zero, and that can still happen in that manner. There's just a process to make sure there is coverage at those type of events where, especially where alcohol is served.
Thank you. We appreciate that. That is the first time that we've heard of a 15% discount. We've been using the chamber or the convention center now for 5 years, and this being our 6th year.
Wow. I'm verifying with staff whether or not the price you were quoted was actually with or without the 15%, but I'll get with you guys in a minute. The staff member that you need to talk to is back at the table. She'll come find you here in just a second.
Well, thank you very much for letting us know that, and I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll go quickly over Buttonwood from Wilson. I know Buttonwood is a topic of conversation for a couple of folks on the internet, so I wanted to give you guys, we installed 750 feet of new water main. Oh, that's not 750 inches, that's 750 feet. New water main, and replaced 5 water services. We also made 5 sewer point repairs. Also on the wastewater side, we are going to be doing smoke testing on the week of July 20th, which is next week. So if you see smoke coming out of some of your sewer connections in the front yard, please don't freak out. We're doing that on purpose. The purpose of that is to identify areas where there are leaks and infiltration. The boil water notice, you got that as soon as I got it this morning, has been lifted. And I just want to remind everybody that a boil water notice is standard when we lose pressure that quickly. No contaminants in the water. And then, addressing Mayfest Park, we do have preparations underway for homecoming. The covers are scheduled to be installed this coming Monday. The crews were laying the foundation this week with installation next week for the bleachers. And so I'm hoping the rain lets up enough that we can get that done. We will be putting together a small group of volunteers for this weekend and next weekend to get small stuff done, the painting of the pipes and things like we did last year. So that's what I have.
All right. Thank you, Sylvia. Appreciate it. All right. On to agenda item 4D, proclamation for Park and Recreation Month. So, as you know, Bastrop has some really nice parks. We have an awesome park and rec team and program, and it's only going to get better, for sure. So, whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of the communities throughout this country, including the City of Bastrop, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Recreation promote time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourage physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation is the leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education. And whereas Park and Recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time program, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased poverty values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change, and whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And now, therefore, I, Ishmael Harris, Mayor of the City of Bastrop, do hereby proclaim the month of July 2026 as Park and Recreation Month, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Bastrop to be affixed on this 14th day of July 2026. Do we have someone here to accept this? Where they at? Yep, there they are. I didn't see y'all back there. Why don't y'all come up here and introduce yourselves?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jason Alfaro, Parks and Recreation Director for the city.
Hello, I'm Jessalina Olivares, and I'm the Parks and Recreation Manager for the City of Bastrop.
All right. We're going to take a picture with you guys. So, photo op.
You guys should have held up your shirts.
All right. Michael, you said we have someone here that wants to speak on the next proclamation?
Yes.
Correct. All right.
Hot Car Awareness Month.
Hot Car Awareness Month.
Make your way up.
You can come up here. Hello. You don't have to be shy. If you can just introduce yourself and tell us who you're with.
Would you like me to speak after the proclamation or before?
You can speak before and then we'll do the proclamation.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Harris and council members. My name is Siley Raja. I'm a rising senior, a youth advocate, and the founder of Project Safe Ride, a national initiative dedicated to preventing pediatric vehicular heat stroke and pet heat stroke tragedies. I also serve on the Texas Heat Stroke Task Force, working alongside advocates across the state on this exact issue. Thank you, Mayor Harris, for this proclamation and for recognizing Hot Car Awareness Month here in Bastrop. This cause hits close to home for the community in a very literal way. Bastrop isn't just a place people live, it's a getaway, and the big part of that is the outdoors. Families come from Austin, from Houston, from all over Central Texas to spend a day at Bastrop State Park, walking the trails through the Lost Pines, swimming in Lake Mina, or paddling on the Colorado River. That means long days outside, gravel and asphalt parking lots with little shade, and cars sitting untouched for hours while everyone's off on the trail or down at the water. Added events like the Bastrop Homecoming and Rodeo, the farmers markets on Main Street, or a Saturday at Lake Bastrop. And you get cars packed full of coolers, kids, and sometimes the family dog, parked in direct sun for an entire afternoon. That's not a hypothetical for us. That's a Saturday in Bastrop in July. That's exactly why this awareness matters right here in this city. We're not talking about an abstract public health issue. We're talking about trailhead parking lots, our riverbanks, our neighbors, and visitors. Heat stroke does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're a lifelong Bastrop resident or someone visiting for the first time to hike the Lost Pines. It doesn't care if it's a child, a grandparent, or a family pet. What it does care about is time and heat. And here in Central Texas, during the summer months, we have plenty of both. So today isn't just about a proclamation on paper. It's a reminder to all of us. Look before you lock, check the back seat, never leave a child or pet in a parked car for any moment of time, and watch out for one another this summer, especially in high-traffic outdoor spots like our state parks and riverfront, where a quick trip to the water can turn into hours. Thank you again to the mayor and council for standing behind this cause, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for your, and what is your name again?
Siley Raja. Siley Raja.
Siley.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Siley. Thank you, Siley. That was wonderfully written. All right. So, and we all know it does get hot. It doesn't matter. Like, it starts getting hot in the springtime, and it doesn't stop till November. All right, so whereas pediatric vehicular heat stroke is one of the leading causes of non-crash related fatalities in vehicles for children under 15, with more than 1,000 lives lost since 1998. And whereas a child's body temperature rises 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's, and death can occur when their core temperature reaches 107 degrees, a threshold that can be reached within minutes. Whereas on a typical 70-degree day, the interior of a vehicle can reach 115 degrees in just 30 minutes, and parking in the shade or cracking windows does not provide the safe environment for a child or a pet. Whereas research shows that these tragedies can happen to a caregiver regardless of education or personality, often triggered by a change in routine, sleep deprivation, or high stress. And whereas Project Safe Ride, founded by youth advocate Saili Raja, serves as a virtual community initiative to empower families with technology and reminders to eliminate these 100% preventable deaths. Now, therefore, I, Ishmael Harris, Mayor of the City of Bastrop, Texas, and the Bastrop City Council do hereby proclaim July 14th as Hot Car Awareness Day. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Bastrop, Texas, to be affixed on this 14th day of July 2026. Thank you again for bringing this initiative and fighting for this. So.
Thank you.
Would you like to take a picture with the
Oh
council?
yeah, we're gonna sign it. We're gonna come up here. You open it up. We'll take a picture with you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. On to agenda item 5A, discussion, work sessions and briefings, discussion, local option election in the city of Bastrop.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let me grab the clip. So I wanted to take some time this evening to discuss an item that's going to be brought to council at the next council meeting, and that's the local option election. The last local option election was in 2005. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of new voters and some that are unfamiliar with what a local option election is. So I wanted to discuss that with you tonight. Equally as important, get in front of citizens so that they know what we need them to go to the polls for. I have Ms. Adina Lewis from the county, she is going to help answer any questions if I'm unable to. So what is a local option election? And that is where the citizens they're able to have their voice heard on alcohol regulations in the city, whereas the state generally makes that decision. We have, alcohol licenses from top to bottom in the city of Bastrop, and that's why it's so important. So some of the details about the local option election is, as I stated before, we had our last local option election in 2005. So since then, the city has annexed land, and those annexed lands, they retain their status. If they were dry before we annexed them, they remained dry. So what we want to do is join in this countywide issue and try to get some uniformity across the county. The city of Smithville is also going to participate, as well as the city of Elgin. So at the moment, the county attorney is going to draft some uniform language, which is important. Anytime we have a countywide initiative like this, we want to make sure all residents are voting on the same thing, and we all each city can accomplish what they've set out to do. Another important detail is the results of that election become effective the day that we canvass, which is tentative for, I believe it's November 10th. So another thing that's very important, the City of Bastrop, I want to say unique because the City of Bastrop's unique to me. We have a city ordinance that requires if you have a mixed beverage permit that you also have a food and beverage permit. So that would not be affected. What also would not be affected is you have to maintain 60% of your sales from food rather than alcohol, so you don't cross that line of not being a restaurant anymore. It'll be a very simple for or against on the ballot for all beverages, including mixed beverages, or against the legalization. So, and it can basically be looked at as an update to our corporate boundaries. So what's most important is we're not taking anything away from our businesses, but trying to give them more opportunity. So this is a map of the City of Bastrop. The yellow portion with the lines through it is what was involved in the 2005 local optional election. And as you can see, the portions that are not shaded in, they were not included in that annex later. So it's very evident that we have some gaps where your neighbor could have one set of rules and you have a different set of rules. And so we want that fairness to be across the board. We want everyone to have the same opportunity. So right now, the voting schedule, as it shows up here, will start towards the middle of end of October and run to the end of October, with election day being November 3rd. There's some pretty expansive voting hours. The location within the City of Bastrop would be the Bastrop Courthouse Annex Building. As you can see, there's also some other voting centers, Smithville and Elgin. Cedar Creek, too, I believe. Okay. And that's it. Is there any questions I can answer for you, or have Ms. Lewis come up and answer?
I don't know who was first. Councilmember Pitt.
Yeah, this is a topic that I've had to learn a lot about over the past 12, 13 years. And Texas liquor laws are extremely archaic, and the threshold that you have to attain in terms of signatures normally. Let me back up a little bit. We're given a huge opportunity here, and it was Representative Gertis brought this before the state legislature and got a carve out for Bastrop County one time. So it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a local option election for a city the size of Bastrop. So, and that money doesn't go to the county government, it doesn't go to the state government, it doesn't go to the people, it goes to consultants who go around and bother people and get signatures from them. And, you know, I don't know where they're from. Dallas, Austin, Chicago, I don't know. Doesn't matter, because it doesn't go to anybody in Bastrop County. The only thing Bastrop County residents get from that is a bunch of phone calls and knocks on the door. And it's an extremely laborious and expensive process to get it done. And so the fact that we have an opportunity just by calling this vote at City Council and to fix this thing for the whole county, because right now the problem is, and it'll always be a problem as long as our county is growing, and who sees that changing in the near future? As we annex, as precinct lines move, anything that involves a division of a political line, of movement of a political line, will cause areas to be orphaned in a way that, like, for example, all these purple areas that you see on this map, and thank you for making that, by the way, Michael. These are areas that can't be fixed except through a process like this. We can't bring them up to where we are because it would cost so much money for this small number of properties to get fixed. And then by the time you got it done, there'd be new areas annexed that would have to be done again. So it's really a huge opportunity for us countywide to go through and say, everybody in the county has the same rules. And if you want to make your rules different in the city, you can do that, but just don't put TABC in the driver's seat to fix it or to enforce it. We can enforce it ourselves, and then if we don't like the way the rule is, we can change it. But right now, if we put a rule in here with TABC, like saying, for example, that we have in the city, which I'm perfectly happy with, that you can't have just a straight mixed beverage permit, you also have to serve food. If we ever decided that wasn't a good idea because there's a great opportunity for a great economic development to come in, but they need to have a mixed beverage permit without food, we can't do it. I mean, we can, but it's tremendously expensive and time consuming. And this makes it so that if we have a law, we want to make a law, we can make it. We just have to enforce it. We can't rely on TABC to enforce it. I'm fine with that because really it's our police that enforce most of that stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. And so, let's let Bastrop be the one that decides what our rules are instead of TABC, because it's really, really difficult to get anything done through TABC.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Councilmember Plunkett. Councilmember Fossler.
Thanks for that, Kevin. I know you're intimately involved. My question for you, Michael, does this cure this for future annexations, or will future annexations still be orphaned?
Future annexations will still be orphaned.
Will still be orphaned. It just kind of fixes it for right now.
If it passes in the county as well. We're assuming that everything passes.
Right.
But if it passes everywhere, then the whole county would have the same rules.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Right.
Thanks.
Yes. But we would maintain the food and beverage and all those.
Thank you, Councilmember Fossler. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
What question are we asking on the election, for instance?
So we're asking for citizens to vote either for or against the sale of all alcoholic beverages, including mixed drinks.
Got it. Okay. And then what is the cost to the city of Bastrop for this election?
So the current estimate I have, and I will be honest, we do have the lion's share of the cost, is $36,649 and some change.
And what is the county going to be paying for their part of the election?
I'll have to have Ms. Adina Lewis come up to speak on that.
Hello, Adina.
Hello.
Can you just please introduce yourself?
Adina Lewis. I'm the Director of Tourism and Economic Development for Bastrop County. And I want to thank Kevin. Kevin has worked really hard on this. We've been working on this project, I don't know, Kevin, 15 years trying to get this done. If we hadn't gotten the carve out, and I will get to your question, if we hadn't gotten the carve out, we would have had 10,241 signatures in order to do what we can accomplish. And we've tried to get those in the past, and it's an impossible number. So that's why we went to the legislature and we got this fix. And so you have the ability to call an election without having a petition brought to you. The reason the cost is shared just like our normal elections would be. So it's prorated based on, of course, the state sets the days and times. So that's set by the state. But our election would be handled from a cost standpoint, just like it is in any other election. So that's why it's prorated. The county certainly has their share. It's not on there, but it would be run just like a normal election would be.
Can you get that number for me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I don't really know what the total cost of an election is. And this is an estimate, so we think this is on the high side. I got this from the elections office.
Yeah. No, I mean, if for instance, it was a price per voter and the county's number was 70,000 or, some number dramatically higher than what the city of Bastrop is paying, then everything sort of makes sense, even though it sounds expensive, and it is what it is. If the county was paying $12 and we were paying $36,000, I would be going to the commissioner's court and asking them to pay for it.
Absolutely.
So that's why I want to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just exactly the way we normally run the elections.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, Michael can share, our piece is proportionately larger than Elgin and Smithville.
Right. And
More
it's
than
based
double.
upon the number of voters, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, registered
Yep.
voters. Yeah.
And that allocation is similar through anything that we do countywide, so this isn't, we're not being gouged for this one. Just
No,
answer.
and if someone says that the county number is, $50,000, then
Oh, gotcha.
then the data supports what you just said, and I'm fine. But if the data doesn't support that belief, or that I would share with you right now, then I have a problem with it. So that's why I want to know is
What you're wanting is the cost of the total election.
cost of the total election and the breakout of the
Right,
votes.
and
Yeah.
there are several other entities besides the cities that have things on the ballot as well. So they take a portion of the total cost.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
Councilmember Fosler.
I do have another question. It's not for Adina, but thank you for coming and speaking. Is there, for the special election, I guess it's not a special election, is there anything else we can add on the ballot? Is there anything else that would normally cost to have an election that we could, you know what I mean? Like charter, is there anything else we could put on that, or is it totally separate kind of election?
I think for a charter election, there's a charter committee that has to be formed, et cetera. I mean, you could scramble to try to do it, but.
Because the deadline's like August, is it August?
August
For putting it on the
17th.
November?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, August 17th.
You have about 3 weeks to get it, yeah.
Just curious, thanks.
We're ambitious, we're not crazy.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Foster. Council, do we have any other discussion for Michael? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
your
you, Mayor.
presentation. All right. Now we're on to, we don't have any staff or board reports. Now we're on to citizen comments. As we move through the citizen comments, I know it's a few of y'all that would like to speak on agenda item 9I. Would you like to wait for that agenda item, or would you like to do it as citizen comments? I bet you want to do it as citizen comments. All right, so we will get to y'all. Just give me one brief second. So we have several people who emailed in, and then we have some who've handwritten, and so I'll go over the ones who are emailed in real quick. Mariana Kruger, she wishes to speak. Are you here? No? Okay. She's a non-resident. She's out of Austin, but she just wanted to speak on caution regarding the water quality and supply threats coming from Austin upstream and its planned Dogheads development. All right. Next we have Judith Hoover. She does not wish to speak. It's pertaining to agenda item 9I, historic structure and site protection. She would like to record her support for this. Thomas Hoover, he does not wish to speak, but it's on agenda 9I, historic preservation protections. Please record his support. We have Gina O'Brien. She does not wish to speak. She opposes the intent to connect 969 Blakey, Burleson Crossing Plaza traffic through Riverside Grove at Jessica Place, or anywhere through Riverside Grove. So she opposes that happening. All right. Now, up first, as always, we have Rita Ward.
Rita Ward, Riverwood.
I don't think they can hear you from back there. You got to say it in the microphone, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is give a great big thanks to our park and recreation. Now, I left before all the excitement took place. I left at 7 o'clock. But before then, everything was absolutely perfect, and they did a great big job. And I said, I thought they ought to have a little raise in salary. They did so good. But then the next thing that I want to think about is our police department. They were out there in those air-conditioned dark suits in that 100-degree temperature, walking on up and down, making sure that everybody was safe, going this way, going that way, making sure old ladies like me were on the right path. And they did a great big job. We don't have but one here today, but let's give her a hand. And the next thing I think that you should consider is about our data centers and kind of take a leaf out of Taylor, Hutto, San Marcos, and the Hill County on what they are doing on kind of putting a little hold on our data centers. And this can be done. And we need to think about that. I did investigate it, and our money for our data center here is coming from Amsterdam. There's a lot of money coming in from the Netherlands and another place. I don't know if it's a little town there or if it's a group. It's AROL, I think, if I remember correctly. But we need to think about that. Also about our town hall meeting. I'm sorry, Sid Miller is not going to be here, but there will be somebody to take his place. And everybody should be there, and let's get together and see what we can do as a group. We're Texans. Let's forget about our politics. Let's be Texans. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. All right. Up next, we have Trisha Silva. They would like to speak.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and our city manager. I just wanted to come up and just pay gratitude to the city staff for our collaboration on the Summer Food and Fun Drive. On behalf of Bastrop County Emergency Food Pantry and Support Center, our staff, our board of directors, and our volunteers, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you and gratitude for your continued support of our mission to nourish and serve our neighbors in need. For the past 4 years, the City of Bastrop has led a summer food drive that has made a meaningful impact on food insecurity across our community. Through your collective efforts, a remarkable 11,045 pounds of food have been donated, providing the equivalent of 21,759 meals for families, seniors, veterans, and children facing hunger. This year, the campaign set an ambitious goal to collect 3,000 pounds of food, and thanks to the dedication and the generosity of the city leadership, staff, and residents, you came incredibly close by collecting 2,824 pounds of food. Congratulations on this outstanding achievement and the hard work that made it possible. We're also especially grateful for the many ways the City of Bastrop championed this effort, including hosting a collections day at the Bastrop Convention Center, making the Touch the Truck experience available, inspiring friendly participation among city staff teams. These efforts not only help to collect food, but it also raised the awareness of the challenges many of our neighbors face every day. and especially during the summer months. Your participation demonstrates what's possible when community comes together with compassion, purpose, and shared commitment to helping others. Thank you for standing with us in our mission and helping us to ensure no neighbor goes hungry during the summer. So thank you all so much.
Thank you all. All right. Up next, we have Cheryl Long. Please introduce yourself and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Cheryl Long. I've lived at 1501 Church Street, Bastrop, Texas, for many decades. I live in a historic home. I've kept it historic. It's on the original 2.75 acres. It has been a struggle. I want to keep Bastrop historic. I'm in support of 9-1. What I'd like to really talk about is we are talking about our history. Our historic neighborhoods are being threatened. Once they are gone, they're gone. We cannot get them back. We really have no protection from our state historical society. We have to protect our history. We need to raise the penalties and consequences for any threat or damage to our historic structures, landmarks, or historic sites. So I am in support in the issue of the 9-1 in raising the penalty and consequences.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we have Tommy Claiborne.
I'm Tommy Claiborne. I was born here a long time ago. So long. But one side of my family's been in Bastrop County for 7 generations. The other side of my family's been in Bastrop County for 8 generations. One of the house that I was born in was probably one of the first 5 structures in Bastrop that was built. My brother still lives in that house. I've had different properties that had historical backing. I had 1202 to 1206 Church Street, which is a very historical street in Bastrop. And after I sold that property, wasn't long after I sold it, that house burnt down. And that was a Sam K. Higgins house. It was just something that was really, really precious, but it's gone. Like Cheryl said, once it's gone, it's gone. Another thing is, like, whenever I come up here, I don't come up here and speak very often, but I always go to the plaque behind it, which is the preservation of the past and progress for the future. So if we don't do something right now to take care of the past, it's not going to be in here anymore. One example I have of that is take our historic golf course. Now, it's a long history and the golf course and how it came about and how it was maintained and everything. I don't believe that the city council at that time did all they could do to preserve that. There was a lot of controversy, just nobody had any inclination. Now, what I'm going to just request is something that's going to be real easy for y'all, because I saw how you all reacted at the very first start of this meeting when you talked right on down the line about what happened in Bastrop and all the activities and things like that, and the excitement and the positivity in your voices carried through. I know that you're really good at identifying what's going on in Bastrop and how it wants to keep on. So the only thing that I'm requesting is when things like this comes up, keep a very be open-minded and check into everything that's happening into it. And like I say, that's an easy thing to do, and it helps our city because tourists come into our town for the historical factor as much as anything. So thank you.
Sure, thank you. All right. Next we have Blake Kaiser.
Good afternoon. I'm Blake Kaiser. I'm on the Historic Landmark Commission. Recently, we have found out that the national and state offer no protection. It's all, the weight is on the local. And we find out our local doesn't have any. We need for 9I to really consider something like, I don't know, $100 per $1,000 of value as a fine. Right now, it's a doubling of the demo fee. And I don't know what that is, $500 maybe. So that doesn't scare anybody off. We need to make it where we're protecting our structures. And I think the only way is a monetary fine. And I'm sure we can come up with something, because we're losing them right and left, and before you know it, we won't have any. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right. Do we have any more citizen comments?
No, sir.
All right. Sounds good.
Mayor, before we get started on the on the consent agenda, can we move up one item from individual consideration? Mr. Peterson's been here for a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to do. So before we go over consent agenda item, I would like to go to individual consideration, agenda item 9G. Consider and act on a resolution 2026-107, ratifying $2,160 in waived fees for funeral services for Willie Ruth Hodge. Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is actually ratification that has already occurred. It was time sensitive and it was over the holiday weekend. Miss Willie Ruth was the wife of Mr. Bill Peterson, who served this council for 6 years. So I thought it was important to not just honor Mr. Peterson's service, but her legacy.
Absolutely. Council, do we have any discussion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, let it show that it passes unanimous. And Bill, just know that you're in our continued prayers. You're in our heart. Ms. Willie Ruth, she was a fantastic individual. She never called me by my name, even though I know she knew my name. Yeah, y'all just, no, for real, y'all. She just, CP's grandson. That's what she would call me every time. Every single time. So, but that just, you know, she worked at the bus barn with my grandfather back in the 80s. And like, she was always greeting me with a smile as a kid, throughout childhood as an adult. Just an absolute living spirit. And I know she will be missed by many. She was cherished by a lot and loved by a lot. And so, Bill, our thoughts, our heart, our prayers would continue to be with you. All right. On to consent agenda item. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired, then that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. All right. Councilmember Meyer.
Yes, I'd like to remove 8B, please.
Okay. Do we have any others? Councilmember Lowe.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 8F, please.
All right, council members, do we have any other items? No? All right. 8B, consider an act on a resolution number R-2026-100 approving participation in a limited future local match and matters related thereto for the capital area rural transportation system CARTS mobility hub proposal at the Bastrop Public Library and climate pollution reduction grant CPRG activities as exhibited in Exhibit A. Viviana, hello.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Viviana Andres, Assistant to the City Manager. I'm here to talk to you or answer any questions that you may have about this item.
Thank you so much, Viviana. I do have some questions and I have some concerns.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding e-bikes.
Okay.
And prime concern is safety, considering how many increased accidents we're having, even deaths from e-bikes. I'm concerned about regulations, Who, what, when, where, why. Okay, so who, we know what and when, where, and why. So those questions would be, who are we serving in this? What is our target audience? Why? Because where are we going? We're going from the post office to the museum, or, those kind of things. Also, we do have an ordinance. I know it's 2021-06 that does have regulations on the e-bikes, which they can't ride on the sidewalks. I'm concerned about, because I'm down at the parks a lot, all the time. I see people on walkers on the trails, especially fishermen's. Super concerned about e-bikes being in any of our parks. Pedestrians being affected by the e-bike, mainly safety, is what I'm saying. Location, where are they going? Where are they going to travel to? Also, when they travel from point A to the dock, to next place might be the museum, what are they doing with those bikes? Because when I go to Austin or any cities that have this, it's like litter all over the place, and I sure don't want that for our city. I think the age restrictions we have in our ordinance, so that's good. And I realize, but mainly just the questions I've asked about that, if you could just let me know what those answers are, or concerns, or anything else would be great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem. So just to give you a high-level view, and I won't take too long, this is very much a concept that we kind of fleshed out. So to date, no plans have actually been designed or anything like that. This has been in partnership with CARTS, and it's a concept of a mobility hub at the library. The hub includes a proposal of a CARTS shelter, along with some flat work improvements, and then also an e-bike station. Currently, the e-bike station at the library is slated for 5 bikes. It's 5 slots. Now that slot, or the bike station won't be filled with exactly 5 bikes. We'd probably have just about 3 and then leave 2 available. The bikes themselves, they're pretty interesting. They are they're not dockless. They're required to be docked in order to be charged. And the docking mechanism is also the lock around it. Now, you did ask where. That's a great question. And honestly, you do have the right to be concerned, because I will admit that the way that other communities have rolled out e-bikes, I think that it was too much too soon, right? So this is a very micro scale operation. It's very constrained. It's a total of 15 bikes, or a possibility of 15 bikes, but we probably won't have exactly 15 on the street, because once again, you want to leave a couple of the charging stations empty so that if someone pulls up, they can charge. So they're slated to be at the CARTS location, so that's the first set, and that's where the first 10 are going, is at the CARTS on their private property. They've already received a grant for some expansion at their current location, and then the second location would be here at the library. Now, of course, you're correct. We do have an ordinance in place in Chapter 12, and the e-bikes would have to conform with any aspect of that ordinance, which essentially states that they are prohibited from being on sidewalks. They're restricted to being on streets. They're not allowed to park on the streets unless there's a specifically designated place on the street. There is some provisions for parking on the sidewalks, but then you have very specific criteria for clearance. Even if they park on the sidewalks, they have to have a minimum of they can't be within 8 feet of building entrances, driveways, curb ramps, commercial loading zones, and they have to leave at least 4 feet clear on the sidewalk if they were to be hooked to like we have some kind of bike racks downtown. They look like the old Iron Bridge, and they're like various colors. Now, this is a pilot program in nature. The bikes are slated to go no more than 20 miles an hour. They're slated to have a charge that lasts 30 to 40 miles. It's an opportunity, but it's not a must. And my most important concern is that it reflects the values of the community and it's appropriate for the community. So I'm completely open to your feedback tonight and whatever you find permissible or not permissible. I also have Dana here from CARTS. If you would like to hear from her, she can answer some of that. Now, this is, as I said before, very conceptual in nature. So some of the finer details, such as like a recovery program that would need to be organized between the city of CARTS, hasn't been fleshed out or anything like that, because we're still very much walking through the feasibility of this process. So we would have to get into maintenance and operations because that's something to be considered, because if we were to do something like this, there has to be a maintenance component with the bikes. Carts themselves has done a lot of the lead work. They went and talked to Mike's Bikes, Jason with Mike's Bikes down at Fisherman's Park, and he's open to the idea of some maintenance on the bikes. And then again, as I mentioned previously, it's the recovery program. These are GPS located, and there is an app that serves them. And so the app is very specific. It would be mostly managed by carts, and it's Metro Mobility. And so it allows you to locate where the bikes are at so that we aren't having them littered on the streets. The idea is that they are supposed to be docked and charged. And so the other idea is too, if someone was to leave a bike somewhere in the community, because you have to be 18 years or older in order to rent a bike, you can't be younger than 18. You have to put in your name, and you also you sign a liability waiver, essentially stating that if any accident or anything detrimental happens while you're on the bike, you assume full responsibility, aka we're held harmless. So that's important to the city because we don't want to be responsible for someone having being in an accident. So there's that aspect. I do think, and I would want to pursue with carts, if this even was to be something that you guys would be in support of, putting limitation or like a blocker, if you will, on the app so that they're restricted from renting and they're only allowed to rent during certain hours of operation. I'm not interested in someone renting a bike at 8 p.m. at night, quite honestly. I would like it to be during business hours because that is a safety hazard in my opinion. So having some restrictions on the ability to rent when they can access the mobile app. And then also the trails that you're concerned of, that rightly so, that is prohibited. So they are actually not allowed to bike on trails, and they will be ticketed if they're found biking on trails. With that, if it's okay, I would like to hand it over to Ms. Dana Platt to just say a few words, and then, of course, I'll be back for whatever questions you have.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dana Platt. I'm the Communications Director for CARTS, and we're really excited about this project. We're not trying to recreate Austin's bike share system here in Bastrop. We selected a Bastrop-sized solution that provides technology and security that we need. It also keeps the system scalable, and it can grow with demand. So it's literally 5 bikes at a docking station. And we're hoping that that provides, with people traveling to and from the CART station, it provides like a last mile for people. So if people get to the CART station and they want to come and visit downtown Bastrop, they're not having to walk in the heat, walk around. They can get on a bike, zip over to downtown, and then zip back, get on a bus, and get back into Austin or wherever they're traveling from. We also think having a spot at the library and coordinating with the library, we think this is something that would be great for tourism and for people around town to be able to have those bikes to be able to ride around. Do you guys have any questions for me or concerns? I'm happy to answer anything you guys may have.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
I think this is a really exciting opportunity for Bastrop. I think that a lot of people think that innovation only happens in the bigger major cities, and we were able to get some grant funding for this to provide this service, and the cost to the city is going to be less than $1,000 a year for software, and that software is going to report where the bikes are traveling, you know, all of that information, where they're going to and from. It's going to help with the GPS system with locating them and things like that. There is a fine too, so basically, if you don't return that bike back to the docking system, you can get up to a $200 fine, or if it's lost or stolen, it's a $2,000 fine. So all of this helps like deter people from just leaving bikes randomly on the streets. And it's also not like a free docking scooter system where they're just going to pile up on the street corners or anything like that. They have to actually go back to the docking station to get the bike charged and to get their money back.
So does CARTS have experience with these 5 pod bike setups in other places?
So this is like new and groundbreaking for us. So we haven't been in the e-bike system. This will be our first, this will be a pilot. Mm-hmm. So initially we're trying to pilot here, see how it goes, see how the city responds to it. So we've never done this before.
Okay. So then I mean, my next question was going to be in the ballpark of who is using these in other communities and, you know, under what conditions would people be using them? And you mentioned using the CARTS bus and then from the CARTS location, come into downtown and then back to CARTS location. So I guess I can see that. Is there a cost to use the bike when someone wants to use it?
Yeah, there'll be a charge. We're not sure what the fee is going to be. It'll be something similar to our fees now, which are really inexpensive. You know, riding a van will be $2 one way, so it'll be something inexpensive.
Okay.
And just as a personal note, like I did travel out of the country this summer, and we were in Rome, and they had the Lime e-bikes around, and it was much easier to take those than to take a cab or public transportation. It was much quicker. Like my route would be 9 minutes instead of like 30, you know, so they were very easy. And these bikes are, the cool thing about these is like you get them from the docking station, and then they have a little lock. So if you want to run over to the store to, you know, shopping, that you can lock up your bike at a bike lock, and then you can go about your business. So they're a little bit different than the Limes, and I think they're a better fit for a smaller community.
Madam Police Chief Vicki, question for you. Do we require helmets for these?
So state law requires helmets for a certain age. I believe it's under 17. The City of Bastrop, off the top of my head, I haven't looked at it in a long time. I don't believe they require them for anybody except under the age of 15.
Okay. And
now that depends on the class of the bike too. So e-bikes are regulated by different classes, 1, 2, and 3, depending on how fast they go, things of that nature.
Yeah, these are 20 to 30 miles
Which should be a class 1, so they don't require insurance or anything. They're treated like regular bicycles for the most part.
Okay.
I think they top out at 20.
Okay.
Well, that's just like with motorcycles. You don't have to have a helmet.
In our campaign, we would highly suggest that.
It'd be just, recommendation, right?
Okay. I think I would paint myself as horrified if I saw people riding these on sidewalks in the park, or even up and down Old Austin Highway on the sidewalk. There's going to be some unintended consequence of this, and it's going to end up costing money for enforcement.
I believe, and again, I haven't looked at it. I'm not familiar with this project. I believe that we do not allow the motorized bikes in the parks to begin with. From that city ordinance, I'll go back and reread it and follow up with you on it. And then as far as Old Austin Highway, they're treated like regular bicycles, so they can ride them in the roadway as long as they're legally riding them in the correct direction and two abreast and all that.
Yeah, last Sunday there was an e-bike going faster than I was on Old Austin Highway because I was following the speed limit.
Well, his bike goes 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. He's happy about that bike.
Okay, got it.
He got it for a real good deal, too.
Got it, excellent.
Well, and the other thing on these e-bikes is they are regulated as far as power. And again, off the top of my head, I believe it's either 740 or 750.
Yeah.
I don't believe these class 1s reach that limit, but it's something I can look into.
Okay. Okay, I'll give floor, maybe think of some more things.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland. Councilmember Plunkett.
One thing I would also like to add is that the beauty, if you all decide that you would like to try a pilot program, if you don't want to, I am okay at the end of the day. But the infrastructure, it's nominal, and the idea is that it's easy to remove if it's not something that works for Bastrop as well, if we were to decide to try it out. So.
All right.
My question, I guess, kind of revolves around how it works. It seems odd that it would be a for rent kind of a thing, but then you couldn't leave it somewhere. You would have to take it back to where you got it from, and it seems like generally the purpose would be to go somewhere. So
So you can rent it, and that's a good question. Yeah. So you can rent it, and it does have a charge of 30 to 40 miles, which is about 2 to 4 hours. So you have a window where you can rent it, go somewhere, find a bike rack, lock it up, go shopping or something like that, come back to it, and then go put it back at the docking station. That's the idea behind that.
Yeah,
So-
I could see them like, going to HEB and turning around and coming back. But thinking of like, okay, if you came in on a carts bus to town and you were trying to get, the last mile home, you're talking about first mile, last mile, then
I don't know that this would be a solution
that
for
wouldn't
that.
make sense,
Right,
because you want to leave it at the last mile, otherwise you
Correct.
just have to. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Correct. I don't think that you would terminate your last mile at your endpoint destination with the bike, because ergo you then cancel out the returning to the docking station
Right.
practice. I agree.
Okay.
Councilmember Meyer, you have something else?
Yes, I do. So I'm kind of going with Kevin, because if I'm gonna go to HEB, I'm gonna take Carts bus. And I'll tell you, a lot of people right outside on Spring Street take the Carts bus to go to HEB. So I'm sure not gonna ride an e-bike, but I'm really kind of curious, like Dana, you said go around town, but we have really 2 active blocks downtown, and Councilmember Plunkett is gonna back me up on this about even with the bikes, which I would think it would have to be a requirement that those bikes have to go in a bike stand. They cannot go anywhere else. But even with the bike stands, we have areas on Main Street, and our Main Street right now is working on decluttering. Sure. This, I would hope that we would not want to add to that problem of more clutter on the 2 blocks that we have. And if I'm going to go to the library and I'm going to go to the museum, I don't understand taking an e-bike for 2 blocks. So I'm just trying to be practical on where are we going?
That's a good question. Yeah. So the way that we kind of visualize it is, let's say that someone comes to town for a festival or a fair, and then they find out about the e-bikes. They go rent it, drive around town, look at some of the historic homes, look at just kind of, I see it more of being just kind of a way to explore downtown without having to be in your car and drive. You can look at some of the beautiful historic homes. You obviously can't go on the trails or so get a ticket, things of that nature. But, once again, it's an idea, it's a concept, looking for y'all's feedback. If we feel like we're not ready yet, that's okay too, but it's a unique idea.
So on that note too, I'm sorry, Mary.
No, you're fine.
I just had a couple other, so say that not everybody's going to follow the law, because they don't.
Right.
And they don't take them back to the docking stations. How much does it cost to collect those bikes? Like, who's paying for that when they just leave them?
That's a good question, and that's a question that honestly I posed to Dana, and that we would have to negotiate. That's the future negotiation that we haven't gotten into, which is the finer details of what we would call the recovery program, right? Because you're right, a human agent has to eventually go recover. I don't know if that's me, like getting out and going get it. I got a truck. I will do what I got to do, but we haven't quite ironed out that detail. But that is something. No, that's a serious question, and that's someone, right? And yeah.
And one thing that I think is kind of easy and it would be much easier for our police to have guidelines on, if cars are allowed, e-bikes are allowed. If cars aren't allowed, e-bikes aren't allowed.
Fair.
Because that just seems to make sense to me. And that way it prevents them from, the safety aspect would be much higher safety. And I'm still not sold on it because because of the congestion downtown. I just think we just really can't. It's a great. I get the opportunity. I get the grants. I get it's only that amount. I just don't want to add to problems that we're already having and make that worse by thinking this. I get it. In Rome, yeah, that's cool, but in Bastrop, like Rome's a little bigger. So we have a lot more going on there. I know it's been done in places. I don't want to make the mistake of doing something that we're going to regret, that's going to cause more problems. So those are my concerns.
Absolutely.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Talking about recovery, how much do they weigh?
That's actually a good question that I'm not quite clear on, but I do have the specs, so I can figure that out. I have the
I'm
specs
guessing
on there.
it's going to be heavy enough to where you can't just toss it in the back of a pickup truck with one person.
I'd probably have like a little dolly,
Yeah.
like a little rollout thing that I have to
Yeah.
like roll up.
Just one thought is,
Sure.
were we to move forward with this, I think it'd be appropriate to put kind of a sign at the locations, both at Carts and if we were to do it at the library, that talks about that it's forbidden to ride within the park trails and, things like that.
Agreed.
That, forbidden to ride on sidewalks per city ordinance, that kind of stuff, because I don't know that anyone would know that or even assume,
No.
that
Yeah.
they could or
They
couldn't do
probably, I can assume that they'd want to come downtown and then park their bike out in front of a establishment, which alludes to the clutter, right? But just thinking they can park and then kind of just stroll, and, we definitely don't want that.
And maybe it would be, if this was to be something that we're interested in, if we want to encourage good behavior, some of that might look like removing opportunities for bad behavior, AKA, I know that we have those bike racks down on Main Street. Maybe we relocate those to an appropriated actual parking lot, right, that has, a space or something, so that we're not encouraging, because to me, people are going to just follow the path of least resistance, right? Which is, I'm on an e-bike, I see a bike rack, of course I'm going to park there. I'm going to think, so maybe eliminating, like I said, some of those options so that it's not attractive to park right on Main Street or on our streets that we really want pedestrian traffic to feel safe. We want people to feel safe when they're eating out on the eateries that are on the sidewalk, things of that nature. I would not want having someone zoom by on a bike. I have a small child, so I'd be like, what are you doing?
And I want to say one thing. The app, you can also, there's geofencing.
Microphone.
There's geofencing on the app, so there are places that you can put around town that if you don't want the bikes to access.
And lock up the wheel?
Yep. Yeah, and you can also, on the bike pods, you can put like times of operation and things like that. And I would assume that there would be a huge educational campaign, hopefully partnered with the city, that we could, introduce to the community. Put it on our website, you guys' website. There would have to be a policy, like all this stuff. We're still trying to figure it out. And you guys are like one of the communities that are on the forefront of like transportation in the 10 counties that I serve. We have the most transportation here. We have our microtransit. We have commuter routes. We have a lot of different things that we don't have in other communities. So we always like to think of you guys as a test bed, and so that's why we're here. So.
Here's the geo zone. If
Yeah.
you pass it, you're going to wish you would have got the helmet.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, but actually, your sheriff brought that up. So, yeah.
Police chief.
Police chief, yes. So I wanted to remind you guys that. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fossler.
Thank you, and thank you for saying that we are on the forefront of transportation. I didn't realize that because as a bike rider, it doesn't seem like it's super bike friendly. So I would like us to stay on the forefront of transportation. I support this, totally. Tell me about the pilot. So it's a pilot program. Does that mean we're building in in a year we'll look at the data
Correct.
and then we'll decide at that time to carry on every year? That's how it's kind of programmed to be.
Yeah, it's limited in nature, right? And it's limited as long as it works for the community, and that's
Okay.
going to be through an assessment. So, if this happens, right, someone, probably me, will have to be tracking number of incidents, right, number of times a bike was called, so that we start to have data points of, is this actually working out, or is it, truly a nuisance to the community? And then if so, present that data to CARTS. And I don't think that they would have a problem understanding that we tried it, it didn't work, on to the next, innovation.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I mean, 11 years ago, I hauled my bicycle here and rode around looking town several times. That's how I explored downtown and decided where I wanted to live, because it's such a nice pace. It's different than walking, and it's different than driving, and it is still my preferred method whenever I can get away with it. So I think it's awesome for exploring a town at a nice, for me, safe pace that works well. But I would love to have the data. I would love to go forward with this and then, look at the data for a year from now and see how it works. But I'm all for it.
I don't know which one of y'all hit the clicker first, so we'll just go with Councilmember Meyer.
Thanks. So if we decide to move forward with this, would definitely want to stipulate, I hope we want to stipulate some things, for sure, where the bikes have to be racked.
Yes, ma'am.
And the thing about the cars, only where cars go. And you already said the trails, so that's taken care of. And we know we can't do the sidewalks. And you'll work out, because if the cost would be prohibitive to collect the bikes, then that would kind of defeat the whole thing too. But I just want us to be, if we go forward, I want us to be as careful and have as many stipulations of safety and also concern for what we are as a city,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, and who we are as a city. And that would, let's just don't approve without having those concerns in there. That would be my thing.
Councilmember Meyer, my concern, having come from cities who have all of the scooters and all of the extra and who have RTAs and have all lots, my preference would be CART's contract with the subcontractor who does the pickup and who does all of that. That is not an onus that should be on city staff, because my experience has shown there will be a question as to whether, was it picked up, wasn't it picked up? Was it picked up by the city? Did it grow legs and walk away? Did the city staffer take it? Did they give it to their friend? Did they let their friend ride it? Did they charge it at the right charging station? Did it end up in the bay? Did it end up in the river? Did it end up, you might have put a geofence, but we forgot to include the water. Well, we didn't think they were gonna go in the water. Well, you know, you never really know with people. And I am speaking of experience. That's been me. When the company didn't come pick them up, guess who had to come pick them up? My staff had to get in the trucks, the public work trucks, and go pick them up.
Go hunt them down.
And so my preference really is, if CARTS wants us to be the guinea pig, which I'm all for, I would say we start with a smaller number, and they have a contract that they manage, and we are not liable for any of the crazy, and there has to be some penalty associated to CARTS and or the contractor if they don't pick it up. Like what is that? Do we get to bill back what we need to pick up, etc.? And you know, I'm happy, I always tell you guys, I'm happy to be on the cutting edge. I don't ever want to be on the bleeding edge, because that bleeding edge turns out to be a bill the taxpayers have to pay.
Fair.
Well said.
And that being said, thank you, Sophie, for that, because I sure don't want you going around truck picking these bikes up, Vivi. So that's totally
I'm
out
happy
of the
to
question.
serve.
So I think that totally makes sense on
ma'am.
the
Yes, ma'am.
recovery. And I'm all about bicycles, but I'm about the bicycles that are powered by these legs, you know? So I'm all about exercise and activity, which this is kind of a way not to do that. So it's certainly not because I'm against bicycles. It's just the concerns that I've
Yes,
said. So
valid
I appreciate
concerns.
addressing all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor
And-
Pro Tem, go ahead.
One thing I would like to add is, at this point in the process, this is more of just a resolution of support of the overall project. These finer details that we're talking about would have to be clearly drafted and brought back for your
to us.
approval.
Okay, great. So another idea, especially in regards to safety, if someone is breaking the rules and they call the police department and, you know, there's some discussion on, you know, I saw this guy who's going down the street and he was riding on the sidewalk and he almost hit this little girl. You know what would be amazingly helpful is, in effect, license plates, but not actually on the back of the bikes. You could just do a single sticker. You can use from boats. And they sell them at Home Depot and those, and they're the stickers that go on the sides of boats. They're about that big. And so, you know, since there's so few of them, it literally A, B, C, D, E, F, you know, and so then it's like, I saw bike G do this and hit that little girl over there, and that would give us the opportunity for enforcement.
And who was riding the bike G, and what time did it really happen, and do we have the correct information?
Well,
and who
agreed.
reported it?
At least someone
and
has it
Was it
checked
10 minutes
out.
before? Was
Yeah.
it 10 minutes after? We had a horrible accident in Sunset Valley. We didn't allow bikes on our trails, and a bike collided with a runner. A horrible accident. We didn't allow them on the trails. There was a lot of, well, what time was it?
Yeah.
People use these trails all the time. We know we're not supposed to have bikes on them, and so.
Yeah. But anyway, just the idea of being able to identify them quickly and easily with that, you know, 4-inch sticker with a single letter on it for the quantity we'll have would help with this initial stage of, you know, are people using them safely and being able to identify them.
Yes, understood, correct.
I was just going to say, with With the app, like you have to put in your information, and so you'll have that person's information of who's riding bike G or whatever. And then I was just going to ask you guys, do you already like enforce like single citizens who have their own electric bikes? How do they ride their with the ordinance? Okay.
Yeah, ordinance 202106, and it addresses scooters and e-bikes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how many we have around the community. There are some that I've seen, just very few of them. And like one of them has been parked on the sidewalk out in front of an establishment before, and I've had somebody reach out to me about it, and, you know, like, hey, this is impeding, but I'm not sure how many we have in the community per se. I think most people still like to, like I do a few of the community bike rides, and most people are out there pushing and pedaling, you know, and not e-biking it, so.
Well, some of the e-bikes, I mean, you still do have to like.
Yeah, I mean, I know that.
Give you a little kick.
Like that one guy that John saw, he shows up, but like while he's patiently waiting, he zips back and forth to show everyone how fast his bike goes.
Yeah. And then Sylvia, I just did have a clarifying question. Like when you say less bikes, so less than 15, you would want way smaller?
Oh, sure. I'd like us to start with 5 or something manageable.
What are you thinking? 5 to 10?
I feel like that's not enough. To like start a program, like I feel like it's not enough options. If you have 5 bikes and people take them, then there's none available, you know?
Right.
So when we had this discussion, it's also an opportunity, there's other charging stations there also, not just for these rentals. And so it's also an opportunity for folks who own e-bikes here
to charge
and take advantage and get there. So I think it creates an entire sort of community. I mean, if you guys want to go to 10, I'm okay going to 10, so long as the onus is on you guys to collect and all that.
And I don't think we need to go more than 10, right?
Because there are 5 bikes to a station, to a pod. So.
Okay. So I think 5 and 5 would be a good start. I know you want to do a pilot program, but we're now, my ear's not to every street, but like I'm not hearing the demand or the cry for the e-bikes per se. I think you'll have people who are supportive of it, people who aren't. Just my thoughts, more people are going to be, you know, like, hey, having the same concerns, where they're allowed to be ridden at, where they're allowed to be parked at. I think it is a good idea to allow people to zip through town without having to pedal, right, to look at the historic homes. But just thwarting 15, 20 of them out there, it's kind of a whole lot. If the program is meant to succeed, it will succeed. And after a year of the trial program, then it can grow. But I believe that, you know, given the opportunity to really see what it looks like with a small number is better for the community. If it's good, it's not going anywhere unless you're going to lose your grant fund, and because you don't have enough out there. Outside of that, I think, you know, for our community, what we're trying to see, 10 is a good number.
Okay, I'll bring that back. We just have an opportunity to bring it, you know, now, which is great through the
right.
funding.
But
and I think that the e-cabs, when they were here, they piloted those. Those were really successful too. I think that the town is like ready for something like that. You know, I think they're.
I mean, I'm sure maybe, but again, with something like this is something worth
For sure.
trying.
And this is
we don't want to flood the streets with e-bikes and they not be successful.
Absolutely.
Right?
And this is the way, like Metro Mobility, these bikes are way scalable. They're really smaller and not like a big system like Capital Metro has with the lift bikes. And that's why we kind of went with this option. So it's a little bit smaller. If it's successful, then it's easier to add on to. So I agree. Start small.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, okay.
So you talked about the pilot program lasting a year, and if we find within 3 months that this is absolutely not working for our town, can we go ahead and terminate then, or do we have to go the full year?
I would be comfortable, Dana, I'm going to let you know, I would be comfortable terminating then because I don't want to persist in it.
Right.
Truly, it has to work for the community.
Yeah.
And that's just where I stand.
And Viviana, I know, I appreciate your heading this, because I know you have a huge concern for the community. And I know that your priority is what works for our community. So I appreciate you doing this too. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, council.
So I'll make a motion. First, I'll start by motioning to approve this item, but also to give staff direction to include a sign at the pod at both locations specifying what areas are off limits, that we have simple license, plate type thing, stickers on both sides for identification of the bike when someone's riding it, that carts would be responsible for retrieval of the bikes, and that they be geo-fenced appropriately to keep them out of the parks.
Second.
You have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I did a second.
I'd like to.
Okay, Councilman, go ahead.
Could I ask for an amendment
Yes.
for your motion? So, and I appreciate those inclusions, Mayor Pro Tem. Could we also include that they must be, as we said, only docked on either the docking stations, which would be amazing if they would bring it back, but only the bike racks. They can't be left in, downtown. We don't have any parking, so please don't put them in a parking. Only the bike racks, nowhere else on the bike racks, and only allowed to go where cars can go.
Okay, yes, I will accept that.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion, we have an amendment, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, consent agenda 8B passes unanimous. All right, consent agenda 8F. Consider an act on the resolution number R-2026-86 to award $30,000 hotel occupancy tax incentive grant to Hyatt Regency Lost Pines Resort and Spa to secure the Nike FY 29 North American Coaches Conference in September 2028. Hello, Michaela.
Hello. Do you mean to wait for what I got pulled for?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And I talked with Michaela about this earlier. The staff report, the fiscal impact section, and every whereas section in the grant is capped at $30,000, right? But the resolution title clause says authorizing the use of hotel occupancy tax funds in the amount of not to exceed $50,000. It's a $20,000 discrepancy. So I just want to make sure that we're not exposed to a larger obligation than necessary.
Yes, the correct amount is $30,000, so there was an error in the, what was that called again?
Resolution.
The top clause.
The title clause.
But yeah, the title clause. There we go. I'm learning new terms. So yes, that did say 50,000. The correct number is 30,000. So everywhere else in the staff report and the rest of the resolution reflects 30,000, not 50,000.
Yes. So I just wanted to clarify that, make sure that was on the record.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve with the changing the 50,000 to 30,000 in the title clause.
Second.
All right.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, you have something to say?
Yeah, I want to point out the arithmetic. It's pretty simple, but 2,081 room nights at $329 a night is $600-some thousand. And the hot funds that we will collect on that is roughly $48,000. And so they're asking us to grant them, in this case, $30,000 of that $48,000. It's actually very unusual for us to get hot fund requests that have a positive ROI. Even something like Corvette Invasion might be a 1 to 10, meaning we give them $25,000 and we receive $2,500. Right. And so, anyway, this kind of ask is extremely defensible because it actually has a positive ROI, even though we would be granting them funds. I just wanted to point that out because it's compelling.
I also wanted to note, if I can, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland brought it up to me. Previously, I've brought these forward to you guys, and something that is very important in the hot world is that we follow a two-part test, if you will. So the first part of when we kind of gauge these hot applications is one that they're directly impacting the hotel convention industry. So this is obviously doing that, but then it also falls under the second part, and that being category 3, which is direct promotion or solicitation to bring group bookings into town. So this is falling under that category 3 as well.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, consent agenda 8F passes unanimous. Council, do we have any other consent agendas that we'd like to pull? All right.
Move to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
We have an ordinance.
You have an ordinance, sorry.
Yes, sir. All right. 8E, consider an act to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2026-25 of the City Council of City of Bastrop, Texas, approving the fiscal year 2027 annual service plan update, including provisions related to assessments for the Val Verde Public Improvement District, approving a fiscal year 2026 through 2027 assessment roll for the district, and to move to include on the July 28, 2026 City Council consent agenda for the second reading. Oh, we just had to read it. We're not calling you up. You're good. I just have to read it because it is an ordinance. Now, if you want to come up here and brag about it, then you come on up here. But we're good. Council?
Move to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that ordinance passes unanimous. All right, Council, the remainder agenda items, consent agenda, 8A, 8C, 8D, 8G, 8H.
My motion was for the rest of the consent agenda.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're good. We have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the rest of the consent agendas are passed unanimous. All right, on to agenda item 9A, consider an act on the resolution number 2026-110 in support of Chief Stefanik and her various accomplishments and contribution to the Bastrop Police Department. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a staff member who rarely likes to be in the limelight, rarely. So put her in the limelight right now, and she's giving me looks that kill, and I'll hear about it tomorrow at the staff meeting. I just want you guys to know that. Chief Stefanik was one of my very first promotions when I got here, and it was very clear that she was quite capable, not only capable, but actually enjoyed the job. Policing is often a very thankless job, even in as supportive a city as Bastrop is. Our officers are there day in and day out, in the heat, in the cold, very much like our other first responders, except these folks, they kind of take it in the shin quite a bit. They've got to deal with not only our local law enforcement, they've got to deal with transporting criminals, et cetera, and I don't think they get thanked enough. There are very few female police chiefs in the country. The number is growing, but obviously I am glad that our police chief is a female and she leads a wonderful team. So some of their highlights, she's had 7 promotions since January 2025. That means growing a good team from within. They've put in 12,578 training hours since January of 2025 for their sworn personnel. 172 training hours since January 2025 for her civilians, 5 new certification increases since November of 2025. There's been a 77% increase in traffic stops in 2025 from 2024, a 271.4% increase in grand jury indictments from 23 to 25 year over year. That's a testament to the work the detectives do. That's a testament to the work the staff does to be able to get the district attorney a good case to get the grand jury to indict. And her turnover rate, it was very high when I got here. If you recall, we did some house cleaning. There was a lot of they and them conversation in the upper leadership. She has turned that turnover rate from 12% to 3%. And so for that and her countless hours of dedication, I want to recognize Chief Stefanik for her endless contributions to the Bastrop community.
Okay, just real quick before you say anything. So.
She's not a woman of many words.
Oh,
It's okay.
I know. This I know. So, I don't recall when you started on the department here in Bastrop, but like 2020, right after COVID had kind of kicked off, is when I first had the opportunity to have some engagement with you. I had been invited to community meetings between different people in the city and the police department. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do.
Back
actually.
when Nagy was here, right? I actually got to do a whole police simulator where I was trying to save hostages and learn how to, not shoot people or engage. But anyhow, at that time, the conversation was, what can they do to improve the relationships with people in the city? And I'm truly grateful that you're still around, still doing that. But that's when I remember you being a part of the initiative. Do you remember what I said to you way back then? Probably not. So, I would see you around town, and what I said to you that day, what would really help is if you smiled more.
Oh,
because
yes, I do remember.
you looked so serious and intimidating back then. And you smile a whole heck of a lot more now. But I truly am thankful for everything you do for the department. From my experiences and conversations or just being around your officers, they all truly enjoy you being here. They enjoy being up under your leadership. You have been a tremendous asset to the department, to our city, and helped make a lot of changes. When things have been presented to you, you work effortlessly and tirelessly to make things right, to get us the answers that we need. I know you truly care. I know you're not a lady of many words, but you don't have to be at times when it shines so bright in what you really care about. And so it's been a pleasure knowing you over these years and getting to know you a little better, and I really, truly appreciate your leadership.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Meyer.
May make you blush a little more there, Chief. I just want to say rarely do we ever get told 100% of the people that I've talked to that have ever mentioned you, 100% have said how exceptional you are at your job. And I'm talking about from our district attorney down to the people in this town that usually are not telling me the best things about anything in this town, but come you, and then our chief of police, you are the exception, and you are exceptional. And I just want to say thank you so much. We are lucky to have you, and we look forward to many, many, many more years of you serving our great community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Council, do we have anything else?
We should let her talk.
Yeah.
Very few words. Well, I do want to say that I really do appreciate, our department appreciates the support of council and our city manager and the rest of the staff and the community, most importantly, the community, for our department. And although I do appreciate the recognition, it all ultimately comes back to the people that work within the department. And they also put forth all of their effort in everything that they do. Now, there's always room for improvement, and we all know that, but only when we fail can we also move forward and learn from that experience.
Amen.
And so I do appreciate everything, and especially the staff. Semper Fidelis.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. That momentous appreciation is unanimously approved through council. All right. 9B, consider an act to approve ordinance number 2026-24, providing funds for paying contractual obligations incurred or to be incurred for one, construction improvement, designing, acquiring, including acquiring land, easements, and right-of-way, and equipping the city's water and wastewater system, including water, wastewater plant number 3, and 2, payment of professional services in connection therewith, including legal, engineering, architectural, and fiscal fees, and the cost of issuing the certificates. Judy.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today.
Yes, ma'am.
We had a bond sale, and I just wanted to remind everyone, you just mentioned it, the purpose of the bond is to plan an early development of a new wastewater treatment plant to serve the ETJ area, and also to put in place some new water technology that creates a revenue stream generating effluent and potable water for sale to industry. And so in attendance today, we have our bond counsel, Bart Fowler, and our financial advisor, Dan Wigmiller, and they're going to speak on the sale, and it went great.
All right, awesome.
Thank you, Judy. Mayor, Council, as Judy said, the sale went off this morning, and the results are before you. These COs were rated AA-, stable outlook by Standard & Poor's. I think one thing to note, the bids all came in as it's shown just before 11 a.m. this morning. Of the 5 bidders, they had the option to bid with or without insurance, which would make them a AA rating by virtue of insurance. But in this case, 2 bidders chose not to do that, and that would be at their own cost. One of those being the Baker Group, which meant a lower interest rate to the city of 4.434%. You may recall when you sold some debt at the end of last year, the Baker Group was the buyer of that debt as well. And part of what makes their bid so strong this time, like last time, is their clients are local banks and regional banks that really support the city, see the quality of obligation that you're putting forth. And so, again, it results in a stronger bid, and that's who we recommend to accept the bid from today. Bart Fowler is here to answer any questions you have on the ordinance itself, but otherwise the recommendation is to accept the Baker Group bid within the ordinance if you choose to move forward.
Mayor and Council, I want to let you know that partner is First National Bank. So we talk about keeping things local. We talk about putting your money where your mouth is. We talk about how you can support the city. That's a prime example.
All right. Council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute. We have some comments.
Discussion.
Councilmember Foster?
I just had one question about can I ask a question now, even though we're in discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If they did not choose to have the certificates insured, so they are assuming all the risk, or what does that mean for, I know it means a lower rate for us, what does it mean for them and for?
That means they are not choosing to elect a third-party insurance company that would be in the event of default or non-payment, that they would be a layer in between. So they're relying 100% on their trust and confidence in the city to make your payments.
Okay, how often does that happen?
You know, when there's an opportunity to bid, because the insurance companies get pretty aggressive and don't charge a lot for that insurance. So I think in this case, you had 3 that chose to bid with it because it was nominal in their mind. But the Baker Group saw it as an opportunity to give that benefit back to you all. So it's not super common to see some choose not to bid. I think it's because of the local bank.
Okay, yeah, it seemed significant enough to ask about. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, that's all.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
Question, I guess for all the legal people in the room. The ordinance, is this, yeah, it's probably an ordinance. It has an underline for aggregate principal amount in section 1 in the recitals, so there's no actual number there. Do we need to state a number in order for this to be legitimate?
So with the bids coming in this morning, they were posted at $11 million.
Okay.
They bid with a premium that they were paying in addition to that. So the par amount of bonds were adjusted down this morning to $10,885,000, which will be the number that goes in there.
Okay.
And the proceeds will still be the $11 million that you need to fund.
Okay, but my question is do we need to make in our motion, do we need to put that number in, or is it okay without that?
Sure. For the record, I'm Bart Fowler with McCall Parkhurst and Horton. It's a pleasure to see you all again. That document has been updated. Probably not in time to get it in your agenda packet, but we do have that number included now. Typically, in these situations, when the numbers come in this morning, we don't get we get the document prepared, but not always inserted in your agenda packet. I think the appropriate motion would be to accept as presented. When Dan went over the numbers he just described, that could be part of your motion. Okay. So if you say as presented, that will include everything in the ordinance itself, which has already been done, but it'll button it up, I think, for your motion and action tonight.
Okay, and then should we specify the Baker Group in the motion?
It's in there as well. It's also in the ordinance already. I forget which section number.
Would cover that
It's all been included, correct.
Okay.
I believe it's at the dais for
Madam City Manager, yeah, we have this right here.
It's a little bit lengthy.
No,
You
that's
probably
not that.
went,
No,
what is
it's
this?
different.
Oh, well, then that's not it.
No, we don't have it. But so then, just to be clear on the motion, can we make it so that it is approved as presented as an amendment?
Yes.
Well, who made the motion?
Yes, you made the motion, Kevin.
Sure.
Yeah, positive. You want us to hit the rewind on you?
Okay, cool.
Second came from Councilmember Lowe.
Mayor,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer made the motion.
Yes, she
Lowe
did.
seconded.
Oh,
Yes,
well, we were all wrong.
We were all wrong. Rewind the tape.
Man, we need instant replay. All right.
Yes, I will accept that, yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Sounds good. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, you have anything else? Your light's still on?
That's it.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you. Wait a minute. All right. Let's see here. Agenda item 9C. Consider an act to approve. Thank you, gentlemen. Consider an act to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2026-2, City Council of City of Bastrop, Texas, amending the operating and capital budget for the fiscal year 2026 in accordance with the existing statutory requirements, appropriating the various amounts herein as attached as Exhibit A, repealing all prior ordinances and actions in conflict herewith, establishing an effective date, and move to include in the July 28, 2026 City Council consent agenda for a second reading.
Judy Sandrusi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Judy
fine.
Sandrusi.
Finance Director.
We're ready for you again.
Thank you so much. And so this is a little housekeeping budget item that we need to get the budget on our financials. And it was for the purchase of 804 Water Street for $525K. And I did a little budget adjustment timeline. February 9th, BEDC authorized the purchase. February 10th, it was the first reading here at council. March 24th, second reading, and then we purchased on May 6th. I stand by for questions.
Council? All right. Anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, passes unanimous.
you all so much.
Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it. All right, agenda 9D, conduct a public hearing to consider an act on the first reading of ordinance number 2026-20 to amend the chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances subdivisions shown in exhibits A through C, and move to include in the July 28, 2026 City Council consent agenda for the second reading. Doc Cowie.
Mayor, Council, thank you. One, I want to be sure that Brittany and fellow staff will know Co actually gets around to doing that. They were not able to make tonight, but they did all the heavy lifting on this, specifically Brittany on putting all this together. So, Michael? This is part of the BDC code updates. We promise as new things come in, questions come in, new applications come in, we'll go back and tweak the code as needed based on requests of the public, variances, et cetera. The purpose of these amendments is to address different areas. It's amend Chapter 10, subdivision regulations, to address platting and subdivision administration issues identified during our code implementation. It provides clearer procedures and reduce unnecessary platting barriers for existing developed properties, supports reinvestment in established areas and recognizes Bastrop's older development patterns. It also adds a commercial infill platting exemption in the process for existing tract and one-lot plats. It also clarifies subdivision waiver procedures and distinguishes them from zoning variances. Exhibit A, this is what we're talking about, commercial infill platting, and these are basically what we have as a typical older city has. It's not the big areas around the boundaries, these internal lots. It creates a platting exemption for existing developed commercial tracts where no new lot lines are being created, no boundary changes, streets, or public infrastructure upgrades are required. It supports limited commercial reinvestment, again working with EDC and redevelopment, without requiring a full platting process where there is no subdivision or infrastructure impact. Removes unnecessary procedures, barriers for small-scale commercial improvements. It maintains platting requirements for projects involving new lots, boundary changes, public improvements, and infrastructure upgrades. So that's on A. B is working with existing tract one-lot plats. At the process for platting, again, these are existing unplatted lots, normally we call as tracts. Even they do not meet current minimum lot size or width standards. If you remember, we came back and had a 1/3 acre requirements. These are kind of existing infill lots that were never officially platted. It again recognizes our old development patterns where hopefully these lots kind of blend with existing lots in that neighborhood, where many tracts were created before current subdivision and zoning requirements. It allows existing tracts to be brought into platted status without changing boundaries or further dividing the property. It helps avoid unnecessary variances while allowing reasonable use of existing properties. That was on B, and then this is Exhibit C, subdivision waivers. Rename subdivision variances as subdivision waivers to better match subdivision regulations. It clarifies that subdivision waivers are reviewed by City Council while zoning variants are reviewed by the ZBA, Zoning Board of Adjustment. Requested waiver requests associated with the plat to be included in the same public notices of plat. So if somebody's requesting a plat, we need to also advertise the waiver request. And it also ensures that surrounding property owners and the public are informed of both the plat and the requested waiver. So if there's something out of the normal, the public's also aware of that applicant's request. So that's kind of, again, a quick overview of that. Pretty straightforward. Again, it's cleaning up language, trying to work with existing field lots and get them back in the system. Any questions?
Councilmember Fosler.
Thanks. I do have one question I did not catch when I was reading. Yes, this one right here, the second bullet. Subdivision waivers go to council, so zoning variances go straight to ZBA now?
Yes.
And they don't, and zoning variances meaning not zone change requests? Is that
No,
something
so it
different?
would be
Zoning
example,
variances.
again, ZBAs, again, thank you all for your support. We're still trying to get full members, as touched on earlier. We've had a couple of them on lot coverage, setbacks, et cetera.
Okay.
So they're hearing specifics to the facts over the requirements, again, such as lot coverage, setbacks, driveways, those some of the recent cases.
Zone changes will still come to us?
Yes. Yeah.
After P and Z?
Yeah, it's just a variance to the ordinance.
Thanks, I just wanted to understand.
And a subdivision waiver to you guys, because the subdivision is a part of the platting process, and the plat is ministerial if it's automatically approved. And normally a minor change to a plat is just that, is an agreement that it's a ministerial process and it's going to get approved.
All right, council, do we have any more statements, questions, comments? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Oh, public.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you, because it is. So it's now it's 6:58, I'm going to open up the floor for a public hearing. Do we have anyone that'd like to speak? All right, now I want to close the public hearing. Okay, council, do we have any further discussion before we make the motion? All right, we have a motion and we have a second.
We have a second.
Second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No. All right, thank y'all. Sorry about that. All right. Agenda item 9E, conduct a public hearing to consider and act on the first reading of ordinance number 2026-23 to the City Council to amend Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances, Bastrop Development Code, as shown in Exhibits A-H, and move to include in the July 28, 2026 City Council consent agenda for the second reading. Dr. Coward.
Again, Mayor, Council, thank you. Same as the previous items, this is ongoing cleanup by staff of stuff we see as we go forward through implementing the new BDC. The original document was adopted in April 14, 2026, so I think it's pretty good turnaround. You'll see on a regular basis every couple months as we see stuff we need to bring before P&Z and you, kind of cleaning things up. Because the code is new, staff anticipated a need for periodic amendments to clarify language, correct issues, and improve administration. And again, I'm going to stress this is all doing at staff level, no third party, so no additional costs there. Staff is tracking variance administrative relief requests to identify recurring issues and recommend targeted code amendments when appropriate. Proposed amendments respond to specific application inquiries, including residential driveways, accessory dwelling units, sign regulations, permitted uses, notice requirements, and procedural clarification. Infill provisions are proposed to allow limited administrative flexibility for dimensional standards, helping new development remain compatible with established neighborhood patterns. And again, the key words on the previous situation was these infill lots we're trying to work with on residential and commercial aspects. So here's some examples. For sake of time, we had made 2 applications back on the question a while ago to exceed maximum impervious cover in mixed use, table denied by ZBA, request for a second driveway on a residential lot on a similar circuit driveway. Again, there's requirements that have to be met showing the justification of the variance. And in this case, on the driveway, it was an issue with line of sight, et cetera. June, we had a request to exceed maximum size for an ADU in the real zoning district on a 120-acre property. That's going to be at the July 16th upcoming meeting this Thursday. And a request for a menu board to be electronic for fast food through, specifically the new McDonald's. And then Amendment 1, Exhibit A, is pretty straightforward. What we did, if y'all remember part of our zoning, we really clarified this area as parks and open space district intent. It's clarifying that that specific zoning category is this city-owned property. It's not private parks within a subdivision, privately owned by a developer or the HOA. So this is really just clarifying this parks and open space is this city-owned property. And it also has, kind of, again, I'm going fast, overlook some stuff. It's also identified for future parkland dedication. This is contextual infill development. Kind of gives us the flexibility to look again. The goal is to work with these existing internal lots to allow certain dimensional standards such as setbacks, lot size, lot width, frontage, build lines, height to matching existing neighborhood plans. Exception is to a minimum of 20% adjustment to the code requirements and must be supported by comparable nearby development patterns. Does not apply to impervious cover because that affects drainage, density, floodplain, drainage, fire excess, building codes, easements, park-led dedication, other improvements, again, more life safety, drainage concerns. Requests that exceed the criteria or create adverse impacts would also require ZBA review through the appeal or variance process. So basically going back on this, what it does, if you have an infill lot, it allows us to kind of work with the side setbacks, front setbacks based on the neighboring property. C is just clarifying these different, we had school and nursery child care. We clarified these are for commercial schools, nursery child cares. and restricted or licensed child care at home, there's these certain categories that the state requires, things like 12 or 6 less children that there are permitted as a neighborhood child. So this basically identifying commercial from residential daycares. Driveway, this is the one that, again, we had a case on. I have had several discussions. It updates the driveway standards to create a concrete drive approach for new connections to public right-of-way, consistent with our design manual. So that's the portion from the street up to the property line. But again, once you get up on the property, it allows alternative driveway surfaces on private property, including asphalt, pavers, permit pavers, stabilized gravel, crushed stone, decomposed granite, or other all-approved weather surfaces. It provides more flexibility for homeowners to park vehicles while maintaining standards for dust, erosion, and material tracking. It allows up to two residential driveway access points when frontage and spacing requirements are met, and basically that's a lot 70 foot or wider. Includes similar circle driveways or serpent driveways on larger lots. Maintains a maximum combined width of 36 feet and add current clearances forward from the B3 code. So again, basically these lots that are 70 foot or wider that want to do 2 driveways where it's 2 different points of access or create a circular driveway. Under the current code we adopted, only allowed 1 approach. So that gives this option. Again, that was one of the previous variances that came up. ADU, this is kind of always a fun one to do because you look at different things. We had square footage, we had these different categories. What we're proposing here removes the maximum square footage because you have so many variables of a 1/4 acre lot to a 100 acre lot. Removes the maximum square footage for accessory dwelling units and instead limits ADU to 60% of the primary dwelling size. So we're going to look at the footprint of the primary structure, total footprint, and your ADU cannot exceed 60% of that. It provides more flexibility for larger lots and larger primary homes while keeping the ADU accessory to the main structure. And again, that's the key. An ADU should be an accessory to the primary structure and smaller in size, and that's what we're proposing, just a flat 60%. Responds to a variance request while existing cap created an unnecessary limitation on large rural residential lot. These ADUs still have to meet all the other requirements consisting of parking, impervious cover, setback, utilities, and all other applicable development standards, building codes, fire codes, etc. Menu board signs, add menu board signs as an allowable sign type for drive-through establishments. All these new, as we're familiar with all these new restaurants, instead of changing things out, it's an electronic type of signage, but it's really not a menu board, a sign. You really can't see it from the street. It establishes standards for the size, number, and location of menu board signs. Allows electronic menu board if they meet extent. Again, we want to meet our dark sky illumination. Not oriented directly toward the public or right away. Again, the intent is just for a drive-through for a menu. Provides clarity for applicants and staff while maintaining limits on lighting, visibility, and sign impacts. And this one is good in clarifying variance procedures. Removes the requirements for ZBA meetings to be held within 45 days of applicant submittal. Allows variance hearings to be scheduled after applications are completed and notice requirements are met. Provides staff time to review applicants requesting missing information and prepares items for ZBA consideration. Maintains our regular monthly ZBA meetings while complete applications generally scheduled within 4 to 5 weeks. Continues mail notice to surrounding property owners and posted signs on the property, but removes the newspaper notice requirement. And this is Amendment 8, Exhibit H. Updates zoning notice requirements to align with the recent Texas local code amendments. It clarifies our timing for newspaper notice and mail notice before public hearings. Established that development plan approvals expire after 1 year if no building permit has been applied for. Allows staff to close inactive development plan application after 6 months with no applicant activity. Help assure delayed or inactive projects are reviewed for concurrent conditions. adopted standards and applicable code updates. And let me go back. So on this one, I apologize, real quick, last minute, I put it in front of you, Diane, the other night. We wanted to clarify some language. If you look at page 3, and I tried to tab them for you for sake of time, you'll see on page 3, there was some misclarification, and the ordinance said one thing and the exhibit said another thing. You see at the top of page 3 in red, Exhibit H provides that site development plans in review, and there's the category review and issuance. Exhibit H also provides that site development plans in review, such applications expires if no activity consisting of additional information being submitted to address the review commitments is received within a 1-year period. So the goal is not to close this any case out because they're not taking any activity, but we have some that are like 2 or 3 years old, they submit stuff, they never follow through, so we keep them up. And to clarify activity, if we come up with a review and there's a comment to address drainage, address fire, activity would see that applicant addressing that. Just not emails back and forth we're working on. We need to see some true action. We give you responses, respond to our responses again on drainage, setbacks, etc. So that clarifies that. If you flip farther back, you see in the body of the document towards about 4 pages from the back, we mirrored that language so language matches in the ordinance and matches in the exhibit. And in the very last page, we added for the far top left, R under the box for review recommended. So that's part of the grammar that was cost that we tried to tweak for everybody. Any questions?
Councilmember Plunkett.
Yeah, just real quick on Amendment 1. I think it was the very top one. I didn't notice when I was reading it the first time, but
okay.
You're talking about, let's see, explain, I guess, why we're specifying that it's city-owned land rather than parks, dedicated that would be specific to a subdivision. I don't want to disincentivize somebody else taking care of a public benefit if they're so inclined.
So we have this existing zoning district of parks and open space zoning that we're clarifying the definition of it. So I guess I hear your question is, the goal of this category is that those areas are City of Bastrop owned, or lands dedicated to the city. That means it really identifies we own that property. So a neighborhood park with an existing planned development district or with a R1 district, that would just be part of that overall zoning, but it's owned by the HOA.
Right, but wouldn't that, I just want to make sure they still get credit for.
They do,
okay.
They'll still get credit. The intent is we had a category called civic space. And so it was a civic space, for example, it was a park that's in an HOA. Is it really civic space? Does everybody have access to it? Yes, they still get credit for parkland dedication. Yes, all of that. This category belongs to us.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we weren't.
Yeah, no, we are not disincentivizing, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll move to approve.
We have a couple more comments, and we got to have public hearing. Got you back. Councilmember Fossler.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you to Brittany and Chrissy and Coy and yourself. This is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to see amendments as soon as there was enough data. And so I just want to thank you for being so responsive to all the applicants going through the process, and then also for anticipating future difficulties and handling those right now. Thank you. This document is alive. This code is alive. Thank you. It's exactly what we needed. Appreciate y'all.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Yes, so the driveway requirements, this amendment came about because we had a resident in North Bastrop who stopped in front of my house and said that he had gotten a code enforcement letter because he had sort of, built, maybe it was pavers or maybe it was just, crushed granite or something, and he was basically pulling up on his driveway and then pulling off to the right side. And so I started asking questions. And so I guess I'm curious, like how this fixes it. I'm curious how this fixes it, A. And then also B, what are we doing with like, you know, North Hill Street, which doesn't have concrete entrances to any of the houses because it's just goes directly from asphalt to dirt. And so I guess part of my question is this only for new development? And if it's only, okay.
No, it's for, and you're right, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, you brought up the issue with the driveway. I recall that one.
Yeah.
Judy Hoover had the issue with the circular drive, so we're addressing that one, so long as there's not a visual obstruction. A lot of these things are to address what exists, and as infill is coming in, it can match the built environment.
Well, and I get how, you know, infill, you know, maybe you want to require concrete in the right-of-way area up to the beginning of their house and then, or not their house, but their private property, and then they can put whatever they want that's allowed here. And I see how we've expanded the list of services to things besides concrete. I totally get that. But, you know, is this going to make houses that have been on Hill Street for decades, you know, illegal because they have dirt driveway coming off of a city street with no curb and gutter? I mean,
No, those should have always been existing non-conforming.
Okay.
That should never have created a code enforcement issue, and we had some of that conversation already.
Okay.
Now, it does prevent somebody who's building on Hill Street on a lot that's never been built on from leaving dirt.
No,
Otherwise,
and I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that. I'm just trying to see how this change fixed the issue with the gentleman who pulls up and off to the right of his driveway onto another surface. If, you know, if it's not supposed to apply to people that are already in a home, why does this change fix it? And if this change is supposed to fix it, you know, why does it not also do things for people on Hill Street? That's kind of the nature of.
So, first of all, the person that you're referring to should never have had a code enforcement issue.
Okay.
Ever. Because he's existing non-conforming, and in the rest of the world, Doc and I say this all the time, in the rest, I'm sorry, I have to laugh quietly about that, because this is an alternate reality sometimes. In the rest of the world, flat work doesn't even require a permit. And so long as you're within the confines of your lot and not causing extensive drainage issues to somebody else, you're fine. And you can park along, that gentleman, if I recall, was parked along his fence at an angle, and that's how it worked.
Right.
Totally fine. But what it did raise for us is, you know what, there are other people like these folks back here on Pine who use an alternate driveway method because it's so narrow and they're just those concrete pads. You know what? That's probably better for drainage. We should probably allow that too.
Right.
And let's not penalize folks for trying to, number one, be better, number two, match the built environment, and number three, doing things we hadn't even thought about doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I think a third of us up here probably don't have concrete drives, including myself. So, I mean, I get why that's useful for people that are building new ones. So, but anyway, thank you.
He digresses. All right. It is now 9:17. We're going to open the floor for a public hearing. Do we have anyone that would wish to speak? Nope. We're going to close the public hearing. All right, council, do we have any further discussion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Meyer came with the second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Now we're on to the good fun stuff. Agenda item 9F. Consider an act on a resolution number R-2026-106 to conduct a feasibility study with the YMCA of Greater Austin to be performed by Triangle 2 Inc. And just so y'all know, we're always working on stuff, y'all. Just like y'all have to be patient with us. When the timing is right, we'll present things. But we hear y'all, we see y'all, we have things that we're concerned about. This is one of those items, Madam City Manager.
Exactly right. You guys have tasked me to go figure out how to make a rec center happen, and resurrected conversations with the Y. They're very interested. Part of that conversation is who, what, when, and where. And this is step one to a longer goal of hopefully having a functional recreation center that is partly managed by the Y. We all know those things are tremendous asset needs, not just a need because the community wants it, but they fill a need of a wider area, not just the city, but folks in the county, because there isn't a larger space like that. But with that comes the requirement for operational costs, and again, the who, what, when, where, and why. And that's what this study aims to identify.
Yeah, I think it's great that we're having another look. A lot of people don't know the real deal, the real spill behind the YMCA and why it no longer is here. Some people claim they know and put videos out there like they know what they're talking about, but they weren't here and didn't know. And so it's just good to have this opportunity to be able to revisit and start rebuilding the relationship. Hopefully we can get somewhere. Hopefully it shows that it's something that'll work for our community. So, Council, do we have any discussion? All right.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion passes unanimous. Agenda passes unanimous. On to agenda item 9H. Consider an act on a resolution number R-26-109 in the amount of $74,000 to conduct phase 2 of the hospital feasibility study.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, we conducted phase 1 of the hospital feasibility study, and we have our consultant with RTG available for any questions. This essentially hones in on the service area. We had a really large service area that identified at least a 500-bed deficiency. If you recall from the prior graphs, we also had a large swing. We had a lot of geriatric, and then we had a lot of new incoming pediatric needs, and the gamut spread. And phase 2 of the feasibility study, number 1, helps us hone in on that. And number 2, also begins to have the conversations with the providers. We've already reached out to Ascension Seton, have already reached out to the top 4 providers, I'll remind you. Baylor Scott and White, St. David's, the Methodist Hospital, and Ascension Seton, with Ascension Seton ranking at the lowest. We do have a conversation with 3 of the 4, have not been able to schedule with the Methodist, but this item also engages RTG with some of those conversations. And those are conversations well above what yours truly and your staff can do. Hospitals have CCN boundaries also, who knew? So there's some intricacies that need to be involved. There is some dollar amount in here, it's about $20,000 that we programmed for public input. I don't know how much public input is going to be required, and quite frankly, I won't know that until we have conversations with the hospital. Many of you have expressed the concern about the hospital's going to do what the hospital's going to do. Why are you bringing in public input? And the reality of that is we hone into some of those specialties. That may be a conversation we need to have, especially if there's a tie among the hospitals. But we do have RTG on the line. She is available. Her name is Leanne Odom. Any questions that you have of me or her, please feel free to shoot.
Hello, Leanne. Oh, she can't hear me. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Leanne?
There's a little bit of an echo.
Oh, there you go. I was just saying hello. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland has something he would like to say.
Good evening.
So I'm trying to find the right word. So I was one of the individuals that said a hospital's going to do what a hospital's going to do. I'm also enthusiastically in support of doing things that we can to attract a hospital. So I just want to be very clear, about that. I also look at an item like $74,000 and say, hey, are we, do we need to spend this, and is this the right thing to do? And so I guess, Sylvia, I knew that you had discussed having conversations with various hospital groups, and I think what I was planning to say before you said some of the things that you said was, maybe we should hold off and ask them what type of a study they may need. Because, for instance, if we would go and spend $40,000 on a study that none of them need, like they all know what their business is today, and know what kind of services they would need to provide. I mean, this is their business, they're experts at it. I'm just I'm wondering if there's another way to go about this that where we, like for instance, if we didn't approve the study tonight, what hospital opportunity are we likely to lose? And I don't even know if we would know that. And maybe, alternatively, 2 of the 4 hospitals would come back and say, no, that particular study you were planning on doing, we don't need help with that, but we could use help with this other thing over here, which we didn't spend money on yet and is going to cost us new money. And so I guess I almost wish that we could talk to them about, is there any information that would be helpful in them making a decision and then using that input to go for a phase 2?
Sure. Leanne she's got a very good, and I'll just give you the short spiel. They may want to provide a service that we don't feel is necessary. They may want to provide a service that, for whatever reason, is duplicative in a very nearby area because of their ability to move doctors. And I'm just looking at the Baylor Scott and White model, and quite frankly, the St. David's model, where there are cohorts of doctors that move along at each of the hospitals. And Leanne, will you chime in to some of that?
Yeah, certainly, Sylvia. And certainly the context here is that as we did the initial study and shared the findings, and in further dialogue, we kind of pointed out that there were definitely unknowns. There's that community input part, and then, the topic of, hey, the hospitals are going to have a particular point of view come to the table. And that point of view varies everywhere from, as Sylvia said, to what degree will they be duplicating services from what they're already offering nearby today? How much of those services will be de novo? What their strategy will be, again, either expanding their own services or it will be a competitive move for them. And as we frame out all those different scenarios, that's when the discussion that we had with Sylvia's team was, hey, are you prepared to have these conversations with these various healthcare entities? And that's really how we bring the future work. It's to serve a supportive and advisory role in that space.
I sent the council, I forwarded you an email just now. It has some talking points, good information about the study itself.
Thank you, Leanne. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, you have anything else? You're still lit up.
Yeah, no, I am. I mean, I don't know that my question is answered. That it really does sort of, like for instance, if we didn't pay for this today, which which hospital opportunity would not be available to us? And I don't know that we even know the answer to that, which then causes me to be hesitant to spend the money without, I don't know, maybe having those conversations with the hospitals first.
So, and I'm not comfortable entering the conversation with those hospitals.
No, and that's fair, yeah.
Without information. And so I will, one of the questions that was posed to me by the developer group, the developer, by the way, has sat on some of those boards, and said, which hospital is going to go vertical sooner? There's a lot of hospitals who claim a market share to lock up that market share, but you may not get a vertical hospital until 6 years from now. Oh, wow, didn't know that. I thought everybody who's interested wants to build right away because Bastrop is the place. And then there's a question of, there may be some services that are already locked because of CCN, so to speak, boundaries. Oh, didn't know that either. And so there's some nuances to this. Mm-hmm. And I'm totally comfortable, and I think they are also, if you guys say, well, we're not going to open up the public comments until you get through those negotiations, because there is going to be some public input on what are those services the hospital is offering to serve, and do they match what our own independent study has said we are needing here?
And, there's a base bid for $40,000, an additional $14,000 to assist in discussion and negotiation with potential partners, and then the possibility of an additional $20K. I mean, could we do it in a different order? So we do $14K to assist in the discussion, and then, decide on what we would need to study for the $40K so that we know that we're studying something that the hospitals would be able to use?
Well, I think A and B, I think the $54,000 is absolutely necessary from my part, an independent study of what is our market? What is that service area that we think needs to be best served, with Bastrop being the best place it can serve? So if anything, I'd be comfortable with the 54 instead of the 74, with the other 20 being at a later time.
Yeah, and once the story starts coming together and people are making specific asks and we know that we're getting closer to something and they make a request to do something, I'm all on board with that too. I'm just trying to make sure that we're,
Yep.
Understand? Yeah.
And the item, I'll tell you, it has a life of its own right now, because we have an annexation item that's coming to you very soon, probably at the next meeting. And then we have the Plan Development District creation coming to the P&Z in the August timeframe. And in August too, you guys will be looking at the PID and the TERS. So it's a snowball effect that I'd like to have in line before we even get much further and pick a dance partner.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem. We definitely don't want to have it just spending money uselessly and not having any results with it. I know there are a lot of demands from the citizens. You see the articles out, like there's a lot of people that want it, but we definitely need to make sure we have the right things set in motion. I know for one thing though, I am looking forward to the day to where we could truly have someone say that they're born and raised in Bastrop again. That hadn't happened in a long time, so maybe we could say, for the first time in 35 years, somebody's born and raised in Bastrop, right? So. All right. Well, council, do we have any other discussion?
So a motion to approve item 9H with a change in the dollar amount to $54,000.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed $54,000.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. On to agenda 9I.
Mayor, you have some
You
have some public comments.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, we can move on to 9I. All right, this is the folks that spoke at public comment. They're members of the Historic Landmark Commission. This item is an item that we actually discussed with legal for a little bit as we began trying to tackle how do we help stop some of the, it was falling in on itself, demolition. I will tell you what I told the HLC. The city has been derelict in its duty from enforcing the neglect portion. The city gives landowners, historic marker landowners who've applied, we give a certain dollar amount. We've not been inspecting that for those property owners to keep up the property. So we have a lot of blame in this whole thing. And so the item in front of you is really addressing what's in the local government code and codifying in our code of ordinances, which is 315-006, liability for adversely affecting historic structure property. Sorry for the small font. This section applies to those who don't go through our approved permit process. If you come in and you go to the HLC and you go through the process and you have the 6-month cooling off period, and anyway folks go through the demolition and it's approved, this doesn't apply to you if you go through the process. It only applies to folks who decide to demolish without a permit, demolish at night and say, well, I had to do it because it was a public health and safety item. It also allows the Texas Historic Commission to file a civil action. It does not allow for double action. I can't do a city civil action and a Texas Historic civil action. And there are some prerequisites we need to meet. They go hand in hand with creating the historic district overlay. These properties need to be registered down at the county courthouse. We've got to have a process in place that identifies them. We have a loosely based process, but it needs to get more formalized. And so instead of accepting monetary damages, this is the bigger piece, which is why you heard the Historic Landmark Commission say double the demolition fee is not enough, right? They'll pay $500 and be okay, and that's a one-time fee. This says the city may permit the liable person to construct, using as many of the original materials as possible, a structure or property that is a reasonable facsimile of the demolished historic structure or property, or to restore using as many of the original materials as possible. And pay the cost of attorney's fees, architects and appraisers' fees, and other costs related to the enforcement of this action. So it's got some bite, right? The next item is it allows us to recover damage under the section, and any damages that we recover have to be put in a historic trust. We can't just go and do that and spend the money in the general fund. There's a protection of who and what those fees can be used for. So, happy to answer any questions. This is a tool that's been in the local government code. We have not codified it in our code.
All right. Council, we have any discussion? All right, we have 4 citizens who've signed up to comment. 3 of them do not wish to speak, and 1 of them does. So, Ron Barkley, he does not wish to speak, but he shows support for agenda item 9A.
9I.
Aye. I don't know where the A came from. Thank you. Sandra Barkley, she does not wish to speak, but she shows support for agenda item 9I. Robert Sanders, she does not wish to speak, but she shows support of agenda item 9I. And we have here to speak with us tonight, Gary Moss on agenda item 9I. Yes, sir. Come on up. Huh?
No public hearing.
No, it's not a public hearing.
All right, here we go. Last but not the least, I'm opposed to this, and I want to tell you why. It's an ad hoc kind of knee-jerk reaction to some of the things that's been happening. The B3 code created all kinds of problems for us, as we all know. This is an extension of that. The Historic Landmark Commission, I believe, is broken. I don't think they can do the job they need to do with the tools they have. As she's pointed out, the city needs to be more inclusive on the terms of the interaction with the builders and the developers and things like that, that a lot of people don't realize that's who you need to be working with. Demonizing these people coming to town and buying these historic homes does no good at all. I don't think, and that's a lot of what this is just going to do. It's just jumping ahead, putting the cart before the horse in this situation. Where we need to be really is concentrating on developing a system and a mechanism to be able to help maintain those homes. You can look and see how many homes are just falling down around here, and we've let it happen. And we need to stop that, and we need to actually stop demonizing people coming in and buying them and do it. Look behind the Shell station up there. That looks real nice, doesn't it? Just nothing there. Give that guy such a hard time, he's maybe not going to develop it at all. But I think we really need to, the real problem is that, this is the National Register and the State Register and then the City Register. They can't do anything. It's on the city. It's on us to develop some kind of program or some kind of things that we can use, that rather than using a certificate of appropriateness for what these people can and cannot do. To build a house, my little house, I built that for $183 a square foot. Rebuilt it. Then right next door, I built the one for $163 a square foot. It costs more to rebuild the older homes and things like that, and we need to be concerned about that. And we need to come up with a way to support that, rather than these people that come to these meetings, like the people that come earlier and talk about this thing before they even see what's on the agenda here. It makes no sense to me. You can bring 50 people, everybody's going to say, don't tear down the house, don't tear down the house. The house may not be worthy. we need to come up with something. The city needs to come up with a way of determining is that worthy or not worthy, rather than having people on the Historic Landmark Commission try to figure that out because they're not qualified to do it. I'm not qualified to do it without having the ability to go in and inspect. We have inspectors. We inspect new construction. We need to do the same thing like that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you. So Sylvia, let's clarify. We're not saying the HLC is going in and inspecting houses, right? That's not what's going to happen.
No.
This is a tool to prevent what we're scared of. And I will say, once Bastrop is historical because of what we have. If we lose our identity, if we don't have enough protection, which this helps with, we're not going to have what we have. We're not going to have historical Bastrop. Sure, you can rebuild something, but it's not the same as the original. You know, it's just not. So my point is, let's do all of it. What you said, Sylvia, we need to go in and do way better than what we have about the shape of the houses. So let's do that. Let's be proactive that way. Let's put language like this. This says here for the consequences. Let's do all of it. It's not one or. It's like we got to get together and do all of this, because to protect and preserve what makes us Bastrop, we're going to need all the tools in the toolbox to use.
And I will say I'm sensitive to Board Member Moss. The thing about a historic home and what's necessary is, from a building code perspective, you know, Doc and his crew are going to go in with what I'm going to say is a sledgehammer. And these houses require a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. And so when Doc and his crew, and we may have to revisit this, when Doc and his crew go in and go, oh, more than 51% is gone, that's an okay to demo. You know, maybe that needs to be 70% or 75%. We've got to come up with the criteria. But there are several beautiful homes in this town. One of them in particular has daylight and, you know, plants growing through it. And, you know, I can't provide dollars because we can't gift dollars. But, you know, one of the things we've been talking about is if these property owners are willing to put those houses in a trust, and when they pass, they're ours. And, you know, how do we work through legal with that? And then also a historic preservation trust. You're right, it's not just one tool, it's all of them. But a lot of these houses are on 1 acre lots. And so even our third of an acre requirement still, it doesn't seem to be big enough.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Sylvia, have we had a case where someone has attempted or demolished a house that was a historic registered house?
You have one that was very close. That is what Mr. Moss is referring to, the knee-jerk reaction to the house on Church Street.
But was he trying to get a demolition permit, or was he going to try to take it down without one?
He took down a structure on the site without a permit, and he had to pay a double permit fee, and he, I think, just paid that yesterday. And so the fear was, okay, if he took that building down without asking, what else is he going to take down?
It kind of falls into like the where we were at with the trees and the Pearl River.
There is a little
Sandero.
structure at the back of that house on Church, and if you're driving by and you look at it, it looks like it's it just looks like it's a shed. It doesn't look like it is a, 1800 military academy house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I guess the thing then that I'm hearing is that this has not yet been broad problem, like as in, for instance, the house behind the Shell station, it was not a historically registered structure. He got a demolition permit. He faced quite a bit of public opposition when he did, but it was what it was. The house came down, and this would not stop that.
That would not stop that, no. And
Yeah,
this is
okay.
really for folks who just don't want to follow the rules.
Right.
Is it cheaper to pay a $500 fine after the fact? So.
Yeah, got it. Okay, thank you. I was just, trying to get clarity on that.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland. Council, do we have any other discussion? Councilmember Fossler.
Thanks. I'm reading, I've read through it a few times, but I want to make sure I understand. This is one of the remedies available to us is to permit the liable person to construct as many of the original materials. That's just one of the remedies possible?
Yes.
And so it's like...
It's going to be up to the council. I mean, I can imagine a situation where all the windows were sold or, you know, you can ask them to use as much as possible, and that's really going to be a negotiated term between, at some point, staff, the council, and the applicant.
Okay, and then where is the civil suit part in the...
The civil suit is if it was a historical marker and the city does nothing, the Texas Historical Commission can come in and take the civil suit action, in which case the city would step back.
Okay, and they would do...
They would collect the money, put it in their own historic
They
trust.
would do the money. Okay, so we would choose money or the verbs of rebuilding.
Yes, and the money we would choose would be to build a replica.
Sorry, we take their money and we build with original
Or
materials.
require them to
Or
build.
require them, okay. So there are options on how to proceed. It doesn't just automatically push it into that.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
And every one of these houses is unique. The church house, for example, again, driving by, I went, oh, that's odd. That's an odd house. It has the Greek influence. But really, when you go into the house, it also has because I walked in the house, trust me, I walked in the house. It has a bunch of additions to it. And so, you know, to Gary's point and to Doc's point, it's very hard to go in and determine, okay, what's actually historical and how do we save it? And so this, again, really is just to prevent people from going, oh, that doesn't look like a historic house. Okay, so what? Take it down. Especially if it has a marker, and only if it has a marker.
Councilmember Meyer?
Thank you. And to that point, also, Mayor Pro Tem, a really good point that was brought up at one of our HLC meetings. Someone, and let's just take the Church Street house for an example, can go in and buy and say, hey, no, that's going to cost way too much for me to rehab this. I want to tear it down and I want to subdivide this into 3 different lots and put new structures in. However, when you have somebody like Judy Hoover that walked in the house, whole different set of eyes on preservation, said, no, it's not, no. Maybe for your pocketbook it's too much, you know what I'm saying, but it is doable. Mm-hmm. So the point is, we don't want to encourage people to not go the full mile, right, for the restoration. Just because someone may look at it and say, hey, no, I don't have that kind of money. Well, ask a lot of people that live in a lot of historical homes. It's like a never-ending thing anyway, but it's sometimes you can't put a dollar on the value of the historical significance and the character. So my point was, what one person sees sometimes is a whole other story to someone that has historical preservation in mind.
Yeah, and the comment that I would say to that is, like Zoning Board of Adjustment, we say it can't be a self-imposed hardship. You bought that knowing the condition that it was in. And so you bought it with that intent of going through, hopefully, the process to demolition. But this town has an affinity and is defined by its history. So,
good point.
You know, one of the things that I contemplate in this discussion is if it takes $1 million to rehab a house because its roof is caved in and it's been raining inside that house for the last 30 years, and that house might only be worth $600,000 if it was in brand new condition, you know, right now. And so if it's going to cost you $1 million to bring the house to a state where it's worth $600,000, then yeah, oh yeah, and you paid $300,000 for it, so now you got to put, you know, $1.3 million to make it worth $600,000, right? So what that's going to do, if it's enforced vigorously, with no exceptions ever granted by city council in the current process, is a house that's in that bad of a shape is just going to stay in that bad of a shape and continue to get worse over time. We certainly do have the, things in our existing ordinances that would allow someone, I don't know if it may be the HLC, it might be whatever, but where you can go to them and give them code enforcement things and say you got, this much time to bring it up to code and make it livable and so on. But, even that creates hardships upon individuals that have, had the home for decades. And it just, it's this circle of the solution for each house might be unique.
Well, and this item is not a solution for that.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not at all.
I recognize that. It was in response. I'm also kind of doing the background work on here, like what is the process if someone legitimately had a historic home that needed to be demolished? What does that process look like? How long does it take? What do they have to go through? And now I also fully recognize that the discussion on the agenda tonight is about how do you treat someone who has willfully started demolition on something without asking for permission. That's absolutely punishment grounds. I grant that freely. But I'm also kind of participating in the broader conversation about, yeah. So, thank you.
All right, council. Do we have further discussion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that concludes that. We're going to go into executive session, but council, we might need a little extension of our time.
Move to extend 10:30.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. City council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to, you just want to give some cushion, pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 551.087 to deliberate regarding economic development with Pearl River developer Sendero. It is now 9:51 and we're breaking into executive session. It is now 10:30. We're back from executive session. Nothing except for the city manager continue with negotiations.
Motion to adjourn.
You have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you, Bastrop. We appreciate y'all for sticking around for this late meeting tonight. Have a great, blessed night. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all over the weekend for Corvette Invasion.